We have some brand new poll numbers on the troop buildup and whether the public thinks it will work. Also this hour, the growing Republican divide over the president's battle plan. Mr. Bush will try to bring some of his party's leaders together. But will the split over Iraq only get worse as the 2008 campaign intensifies? Plus, a major presidential primary season announcement this hour. It will be a first for the Democratic and the Republican contenders and for CNN. Stick around for the details and get ready to mark your calendars. I'm Wolf Blitzer. You're in the Situation Room. And let's begin with that important 2008 campaign announcement. We are partners in the very first presidential debates of the primary season in New Hampshire. CNN, WMUR Television, and the New Hampshire Union Leader will co-sponsor back-to-back debates among the Democratic and the Republican presidential candidates on April 4th and April 5th of this year. It's an unprecedented early kickoff to a wide-open race for the White House, the first debates in the lead-off presidential primary state. Let's turn to our chief national correspondent, John King, for some perspective. New Hampshire, I think it's fair to say, quite an important state, John.
It certainly is, Wolf. It has been in the history of picking presidential nominees in recent times. It is fiercely defensive of its first-in-the-nation presidential primary, and if we host it and they come, it will be an early chance to see how the lines will be drawn in the 2008 presidential election. Let's look at the Democrats, for example. If Barack Obama or Rodham Clinton debate at that point, and would she make the case her aides now make privately that nice guy but not ready to be president? So you could see the early themes in the Democratic race unfold in such a debate. On the Republican side, John McCain won New Hampshire back in 2000, has to win it again in 2008. Would the other candidates show up? Would Rudy Giuliani say, yes, I'm in for good? What would the former Massachusetts Governor Mitt Romney say? We would have a test of his debates that Mitt Romney has had in recent days about whether past more moderate positions are inconsistent with his current more conservative position. So it is a key state in the presidential process, and an early debate could be a chance to draw the defining lines quite early.
And we're going to have more on this development. Thanks very much, John, for that. April 4th, April 5th, the first presidential debates of this season up in New Hampshire will be there. Let's get to a major issue in the 2008 race. That would be Iraq. President Bush is at Camp David right now. He's preparing to host GOP congressional leaders this weekend as he grapples with the backlash against his plan to send yet more troops to Iraq this hour. New evidence the American people are not impressed by the president's latest war plan. We have a brand new survey conducted by Opinion Research Corporation, officially our new polling partners here at CNN as of today. Let's turn to our senior political analyst, Bill Schneider. He's always crunching the numbers. Bill?
Wolf, President Bush talked about a change of policy in Iraq, but did it change the public's view of Iraq? No.
President Bush has gone on the road to promote his policy of change in Iraq.
It is clear that we need to change our strategy in Iraq.
Did the president succeed in changing people's minds? Apparently not. According to a CNN poll by the Opinion Research Corporation, last month, the president's job approval rating was 36%. After the speech, 35%. No real change. Before the speech, 2/3 of Americans opposed the war in Iraq. After the speech, 2/3 of Americans opposed the war in Iraq. Before the speech, 27% of Americans believed a U.S. victory in Iraq was likely. After the speech, 27% believe a U.S. victory is likely. It's like nothing happened. Something did happen, of course.
So I've committed more than 20,000 additional American troops to Iraq.
And the public doesn't like it. 66% oppose sending additional U.S. troops to Iraq. Democrats are virtually united in their opposition, 88%. And the president's base, 2/3 of Republicans support President Bush on Iraq. But Thursday, we started hearing criticism from Republicans.
That I think this speech given last night by this president represents the most dangerous foreign policy blunder in this country since Vietnam.
He speaks for the 30% of Republican voters who oppose the buildup. Why did Mr. Bush fail to change many minds? Because most people's minds are already made up about Iraq. And the president's new strategy didn't sound all that new. and because its success depends less on what we do than on what they do.
The government of Iraq must exhibit the will necessary to succeed.
Most Americans don't have much confidence in the Iraqi government. Congressional Democrats want to vote on a resolution to stop President Bush from sending more troops. Do Americans want their member of Congress to vote for such a resolution? Yes, 62%. Some Democrats want to go further.
Now Congress must use its main power, the power of the purse, to put an end to our involvement in this disastrous war.
Do Americans want their member of Congress to vote to block spending for additional troops? Yes, 60%.
Maybe the speech didn't work because only 43% of Americans watched it. But even among those who watched it, only 27% said it made them more likely to support the president's policies. Nearly half said it made no difference. Wolf?
All right, Bill, thank you very much. Bill Schneider reporting. Once again, the poll we just reported is part of our new partnership. Today, CNN announcing the CNN Opinion Research Corporation poll. As we head into the presidential campaign season, CNN is teaming up with one of the nation's leading polling companies to bring you the most accurate, the most insightful public opinion polling anywhere, bar none. Let's go to Capitol Hill now, where members of the president's war team faced a new round of grilling by lawmakers today. Criticism of the troop buildup was muted compared to the day before, but it still was the elephant in the room. Let's turn to our congressional correspondent, Dana Bash. Dana?
Well, it was very different today, Wolf. In part, it was likely the witness, the defense secretary in the job just 3 weeks, as opposed to yesterday, a secretary of state in the administration 6 years. In part, it was the kinds of senators on the panel. But one thing is for sure, yesterday, the anger that we saw in the Senate hearing there, it made way and was replaced by tough but respectful questions and even some support. On day 2 of Senate hearings on the president's revised Iraq plan, his national security team finally found some defenders.
Ms. Secretary, I want to start out by commending you for your decision relative to the troop increase. The president presented a plan the other night. I support it because I believe it can maximize our chances of success in Iraq.
Unlike a day earlier when the Secretary of State took a bipartisan pounding, the new defense secretary got a decidedly different reception from the Armed Services Committee. Angry questions from Republican skeptics gave way to some leading questions from Republican supporters.
Are we sending additional troops for a lost cause?
Absolutely not, sir.
Politically, no one has as much riding on the president's plan succeeding as White House hopeful John McCain, who's long called for more troops in Iraq.
By surging troops and bringing security to Baghdad and other areas, we can give the Iraqis and their partners the best possible chance to succeed.
McCain baited Pentagon witnesses about the Democrats' plan to start withdrawing troops from Iraq.
If we withdraw and the situation descends into chaos, which
How
certainly
likely is that?
Which I think most people believe is a very real possibility, given the situation over the past year.
What do you believe?
There were skeptics.
Why would this surge, which is actually slightly smaller than previous surges that we have tried, be successful when those surges were not?
And tough questions from senators who say it's a mistake to send additional U.S. troops to Iraq when Iraqis need to show they can help themselves.
If they don't keep the commitment.
I think we have to reevaluate our strategy.
Just saying we're going to reevaluate our strategy is the definition of an open-ended commitment. Just, again, I mean, we reevaluate strategy all the time.
Senator Ted Kennedy used his opportunity with the defense secretary to press his plan, his idea to have a congressional resolution before any new troops or new money is sent to Iraq. The defense secretary responded by saying, I take your point. I will certainly pass that to the president. But he also said, I think the president, feels he has the authority he needs to continue in Iraq. Wolf.
All right, Dana, thank you. Dana Bash reporting from the Hill. By the way, 2 senators were notably absent from that hearing today. Democrats Hillary Clinton of New York and Evan Bayh of Indiana. They're actually on their way right now to Iraq, along with Republican Congressman John McHugh. The three are expected to meet with top Iraqi officials and U.S. military commanders. They're also scheduled to stop over in Afghanistan. The timing of the trip is notable as Senator Clinton mulls a possible run for the White House, widely expected, and Senator Bayh heads to Iraq just weeks after he decided against a presidential bid, but his name still comes up very often as a possible vice presidential pick. We'll cover this story for you. Several other White House prospects have been to Iraq in recent weeks. Republican Senators John McCain and Sam Brownback, for example, and Democratic Senators John Kerry and Chris Dodd, as well as Republican Congressman Duncan Hunter. We're going to have more on this story coming up next hour. We'll speak with Howard Dean, the chairman of the Democratic Party, as well. Over at the White House, officials are trying to put the best face on the opposition to the president's retooled Iraq strategy, and they're trying to set the record straight about a portion of the president's primetime address Wednesday night. Let's turn to our White House correspondent, Suzanne Malveaux. Suzanne?
Well, Wolf, there was a U.S. military strike in northern Iraq against an Iranian facility, and that perhaps is causing just as much consternation as the president's new Iraq plan. During his speech, the president gave perhaps his most aggressive warning to date to Iran and Syria, to stop meddling in Iraq's affairs. The president saying that we would seek out and destroy the networks providing advanced weapons and training to U.S. enemies in Iraq. Now, there have been many political observers, military observers, who took this to mean that this was in fact some sort of signal that perhaps a military operation was ready to go, was poised to strike either Iran or Syria. What we're hearing from White House officials and Pentagon officials, they are pouring cold water on this, trying to dismiss that notion.
I want to address kind of a rumor and urban legend that's going around, and it comes from language in the president's Wednesday night address to the nation, that in talking about Iran and Syria, that he was trying to prepare the way for war with either country and that there are war preparations underway. There are not.
We can take care of the security for our troops by doing the business we need to do inside of Iraq.
So also trying to make that very clear here that this is not a war that they think is going to escalate or cross borders. The White House also, of course, engaged in an all-out charm offensive. The president trying to win over at least members from his own party to come to support this new Iraq plan. The president is hosting the Republican congressional leadership at Camp David over the weekend, along with the wives, to try to help mend fences, if you will. And White House aides are saying, look, the president is under no delusion here that he's going to win support right away. What they are counting on is simply buying time here to see if the Iraqis come through. They do believe that they'll get a sense of that, at least within a couple of months, whether or not those Iraqi forces are able to perform. Wolf?
All right, Suzanne, thank you. Suzanne Malveaux, Dana Bash, Bill Schneider, John King, they are all part of the best political team on television. And the battle over Iraq will come up this weekend as well, when Senators Mitch McConnell, Carl Levin, John Kerry all join me on Late Edition, The Last Word in Sunday Talk. We're on for 2 hours starting 11 a.m. Eastern. And remember, for the latest political news at any time, check out our political ticker at CNN.com/ticker. Let's check out the Cafferty file right now. That means Jack is standing by in New York. Jack?
Wolf, the fog apparently is beginning to lift. Apparently the plan for Iraq all along was to bring in a little democracy and take out a whole lot of oil. There is a draft of a new oil and gas law circulating in the Iraqi parliament. Time magazine reports the law will give 10-year exploration and development rights to foreign oil companies. That would be us, among others. And once those deals are up, the companies could renegotiate to produce oil for another 20 years in partnership with the Iraqi state-owned oil company. Iraq sits on 115 billion barrels of oil reserves. That's one of the largest in the world. You'll remember that was the oil that was supposed to finance this war and the Iraqi reconstruction effort. Meanwhile, a director of a watchdog group in London says, quote, the United States has put a lot of effort into this. Indeed. The London Independent's reporting the American government was involved in drafting this legislation, which will allow Western oil companies to tap into Iraq's oil reserves. When senators grilled Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice yesterday, they wanted to know why practically no one has been allowed to see this law yet. I wonder. Here's the question. Should Iraq's oil industry be open to foreign oil companies? Email your thoughts to CaffertyFile@CNN.com or go to CNN.com/CaffertyFile. Wolf.
Thank you, Jack, for that. Still to come here in the Situation Room. Do Democrats in Congress have the right prescription to bring down high drug prices? We're going to tell you what bill they passed today and what it means for you. Plus, it's divided Democrats for years, but is the war in Iraq now splitting the Republican Party as well? And later, more on Hillary Clinton heading off to Baghdad. What are the political consequences for the race for the White House? I'll ask Donna Brazil and Bill Bennett. They're standing by live in today's strategy session. We'll be right back.
What are you doing?
I'm sending pictures of the amazing Jack to Grandma.
You're sending me to Grandma's? But I have to save the world today.
Well, the world's gonna have to wait, because once I press this button, you're on your way to Florida. Back already?
I have superpowers, remember?
If only everyone knew you can share memories by uploading photos to Walgreens.com and sending them to any Walgreens nationwide.
Let me show you how I work.
Here's how it works. Get the nation's slimmest smartphone for only $99.99. The Q. With easy access to email and Windows Mobile. It's the stylish way to work. From Verizon Wireless, America's most reliable wireless broadband network. Verizon Wireless, it's the network.
Gravity will propel this Lexus IS over 4,000 feet in a matter of seconds. This Lexus IS will attempt to cover the same distance even faster. The 306 horsepower Lexus IS 350. So much for gravity. See your Lexus dealer.
Too often, political correctness is all about controlling language. We have to tell it like it is.
Lou Dobbs tonight, CNN 6 Eastern.
It's time for...
In the battle against dry, rough, cracked feet, are you losing? Fight back with Gold Bond Foot Cream. Its penetrating formula helps heal dry feet like ordinary lotions can't. For victory over rough, cracked skin, Gold Bond Foot Cream. Victory over defeat.
Cold sores are gonna clear up. Put on a happy face.
Want them gone fast? Get Herpecin L. Unlike other treatments, it helps heal lips fast, soothes skin, and protects lips. Herpecin L.
Just put on a happy face.
Now available on demand, The Devil Wears Prada.
All right, everyone, gird your loins.
I don't see my breakfast here. There's a reservation. Pick up my coffee.
She hates me, Nigel. So there's a way that you can help me.
A little Crisco and some fishing line, and we're in business.
In the world of fashion.
What do you think?
We better get out of here before my girlfriend sees me.
It takes more than just a pretty face to survive.
Wish me luck. No, shan't.
The Devil Wears Prada.
Hit movies without the trip to the video store. On demand with Comcast Digital Cable.
Saving Your Life, a Dr. Sanjay Gupta special. CNN Saturday and Sunday night, 8 Eastern.
Welcome back. Counting the hours and keeping score. We're tracking just what the House Democrats have done and plan to do in their first 100-hour agenda. Today they moved ahead with the fourth of 6 pieces of legislation they plan to act on. Let's turn to our Brianna Keeler. She's got details. Brianna?
Well, Wolf, this bill easily cleared the House, passing 255 to 170. And here's what this bill is all about. As it stands right now, prescription drug prices for seniors covered by Medicare Part D are determined by competition between drug companies. This bill would instead require the government to negotiate drug prices. Democrats and about 24 Republicans say it would mean cheaper drug prices for seniors, but most Republicans say it would mean seniors won't have as many drugs to choose from.
This legislation is bipartisan. It is an overdue step to improve Part D drug benefits for the millions who depend on that section. The bill is simple and straightforward.
Government isn't designed to be in the business of negotiating prices. They set prices, and it doesn't work very well. Why would we take away all of the savings that all of these seniors are enjoying today? And that's what you will do.
So it's through the House, but it's very likely it won't get through the Senate without some changes because a key Democrat, Max Baucus, chairman of the Senate Finance Committee, is endorsing the idea of allowing Medicare to negotiate drug prices, but not forcing it to. And on top of that, President Bush has promised to veto the bill in its current form. Also, the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office said Wednesday that if this bill becomes law, seniors probably won't be paying any less for their meds than they are now. Certainly not, Wolf, what supporters of this bill were hoping to hear.
All right, so this process will continue. Thanks very much, Brianna, for that. And here's what's left on the House Democrats' 100-hour agenda. On Wednesday, January 17th, they hope to cut interest rates on student loans. The next day, they'll try to push through legislation to end subsidies for big oil and to invest in renewable energy. Remember, stay with CNN as the clock keeps ticking on these first 100 legislative hours. Coming up, much more in our major announcement on the road to the White House. We're going to go live to New Hampshire, where we'll co-host the first presidential debates of this season. That's coming up. Plus, what caused this deadly plane crash today in California? Details next. Stick around. You're in the Situation Room.
Call today for the Gold Delta Sky Miles credit card from American Express and start earning double miles in more places more often. Apply now and get up to 17,500 bonus miles. With award tickets starting at just 25,000 miles, you can fly free sooner. Plus, the card is fee-free the first year. Call 1-800-SKY-MILES. Call now for the Gold Delta Sky Miles credit card and earn 2 miles for every eligible dollar you spend for even faster travel awards on Delta and over 17 airline partners. Take advantage of this great offer today and get 17,500 miles closer to a free trip. Plus, enjoy the card fee-free the first year. Apply online or call 1-800-SKY-MILES now.
All right, distribution. So your product has arrived from overseas and needs to get to the store shelves fast. But what if your warehouse had wheels and a UPS logo? Well, then it would fly to the store shelves, giving you the competitive edge. Hey, where'd your warehouse go? It's not distribution, it's UPS distribution. Let's give this a little fin, make it go faster.
Head on. Apply direct.
Head on. Apply directly to your forehead. Head on. Apply. Head on. I can't stand your commercial, but your product is amazing.
Head on is available without a prescription. New from the makers of Head On. Introducing Activon. Joint and muscle pain? Activon. Apply directly where it hurts. Activon Joint and Muscle. In stores now. New from the makers of Head On. Introducing Activon. Arthritis pain? Activon. Apply directly where it hurts. Activon Arthritis. In stores now.
Tonight on Anderson Cooper 360, Lance Armstrong's War, the 360 interview. Why isn't there more money for cancer research? Plus, Oprah Winfrey and her crusade to save Africa. CNN Tonight, 10 Eastern. Larry King tomorrow, country star Wynonna Judd.
Man, I get goosebumps.
CSI's Gary Sinise.
It wasn't about me, it was about them.
Unforgettable stories of courage and caring inside the Fisher House for Wounded Troops. Larry King, tomorrow 9 Eastern only on CNN.
Closed captioning hours provided by Nature's Tears Eye Mist Dry Relief.
Nature's Tears Eye Mist, the natural way to soothe and moisturize tired, strained, dry eyes. Nature's Tears Eye Mist. Now, doesn't that feel better?
Let's check back with Carol Costello for a closer look at some other important stories making news. Hi, Carol.
Hi, Wolf. Hello to all of you. CNN has learned that Iraq's president will go where none of his predecessors has gone in 30 years. That would be to Syria. Jalal Talabani will go to Damascus on Sunday to talk about Iraq with Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. This is according to a source in Talabani's office. In the meantime, new developments concerning the 5 Iranians who were detained by U.S.-led forces yesterday in Kurdish-controlled northern Iraq. Today, Iraq's foreign minister said the Iranians were working in a liaison office that was in the process of becoming a consulate. That's according to the Associated Press. Iraqi and Iranian officials first said the office was a diplomatic mission, which would mean those detained might have diplomatic immunity. Back here in the United States, a terrifying flight ends in a frightful scene. We just got these pictures in. We're showing them to you for the first time. Officials picking through the wreckage after a business jet crashes, then catches fire. This happened north of Van Nuys, California. An official says the plane's pilot reported difficulties just after takeoff. One FAA official tells CNN affiliate KABC that the plane had some sort of emergency and was trying to get back to the airport. The 2 people on board were killed. In Washington, senators approved a measure that many Americans think already should be law. Right now, if a member of Congress is convicted of, let's say, bribery, they will not lose their retirement benefits. But today, a Senate vote addressed that. 87 senators voted that law-breaking lawmakers should lose their pensions paid by U.S. taxpayers. The measure was written by Democratic Senator John Kerry of Massachusetts. The senator who's recovering from brain surgery is showing more signs of progress. South Dakota Democrat Tim Johnson has been moved from intensive care to an inpatient rehabilitation unit. That's according to his office. The senator also said is also said to be saying a few words. Good news there, Wolf.
Very good news. We wish him a very, very speedy recovery. He's a very good man. Thanks, Carol, for that. Coming up, mark your calendars for the first debates in the race for the White House. Up next, we're going to go live to New Hampshire, where CNN will co-host presidential debates for both political parties. Plus, we'll have much more in our brand new poll. Do our new numbers add up for serious trouble for the president? I'll ask Donna Brazil and Bill Bennett. They're standing by in today's strategy session. We'll be right back.
What I love about her?
What I love about him.
How much time do we have?
I love Thomas because he's just
I love everything about Sharon.
everything. I love him as he is.
Find everything you're looking for on eharmony.com. Log on today.
Worried about rising monthly payments in your adjustable mortgage? What if you had a mortgage with the option of a low monthly payment and a fixed rate for the life of your loan? Call 1-800-71-FIXED or log on to ditech.com, a GMAC company.
If pain is keeping you from sleeping at night, but you're afraid to take prescription sleep aids, you should know Tylenol PM is different. And when used as directed, it has not been shown to cause dependency.
Here's to men, to guys who want to spend more time having fun and less time in the men's room. And here's to Flomax. It's approved to treat male urinary symptoms due to BPH, also called an enlarged prostate. In 1 week, Flomax may help symptoms like frequently waking up at night to go, going often, going urgently, weak stream. Ask your doctor if symptoms are from BPH, not prostate cancer. Common side effects of Flomax are runny nose, dizziness, and decrease in semen. Upon standing, a sudden decrease in blood pressure may occur, rarely resulting in fainting. So when starting Flomax, avoid situations where injury could result. To learn more, call 866-4FLOMAX. Ask your doctor. Flomax could make a difference in 1 week.
Escape to a world of vibrant color, captivating design, and luxurious style with Stainmaster Carpet. Experience a whole new era in style and beauty for your home. Stainmaster Carpet. Always stylish, always beautiful. For a retailer near you, visit Stainmaster.com.
Sometimes I look in the mirror and I think, geez, what skin is that? And then I get it. It's mine. So now I use L'Oreal's Age Perfect Pro Calcium Moisturizer. I mean, I take calcium every day to feel a little bit stronger, but this does the same kind of thing for my skin. Age Perfect Pro Calcium Microspheres deliver calcium to fragile skin, making it toned, resilient, redensified. Now, my skin's pretty darn amazing. And you know what? We're worth it. Age Perfect Pro Calcium by L'Oreal Skincare.
Young Muslims transformed from innocence to extremism.
We are a war, United soldier.
Terror's surprising new breeding ground. Christian Amanpour uncovers the war within. CNN Special Investigations Unit, CNN, Saturday, January 20th.
To our viewers, you're in the Situation Room, where new pictures and information are arriving all the time. Happening now. The Bush administration is selling, but it appears the American public is not buying. 66% of Americans oppose the plan to send more than 21,000 additional U.S. troops to Iraq. That's according to a fresh poll conducted by CNN and the Opinion Research Corporation. We've been hearing criticisms of the president's Iraq plan for some time. Today we hear a different tone, though. At Senate hearings, Republican Senator John McCain says he commends the president and that sending more U.S. troops to Iraq will give that country the best possible chance to succeed. And icy weather could paralyze the nation's midsection. It affects areas like Minnesota, Las Vegas, Oklahoma, and Kansas. At least 2 deaths are blamed on the storm already. I'm Wolf Blitzer. You're in the Situation Room. We have more now on today's major 2008 presidential campaign announcement. CNN is a partner in the first debates of the primary season to be held in the leadoff primary state of New Hampshire. WMUR Television and the New Hampshire Union Leader are joining us in sponsoring face-offs among the Democratic candidates and the Republican contenders on April 4th and April 5th of this year. I will be moderating the debates. Joining us now, Scott Spradling. He's the political director of WMUR Television, and he'll also be one of the debate questioners. And Joe McQuaid, he's the publisher of the New Hampshire Union Leader. Guys, thanks very much, not only for coming in, for co-sponsoring this early presidential debate. Joe, let me start with you. They seem to be happening earlier and earlier. New Hampshire, we know, is the first primary in the nation. What was your thinking? Why is it good to start off as early as it is in April?
Well, you're right. Everything is getting earlier and earlier, and it looks like the whole nomination process may be wrapped up a year from April, and we thought it was a good idea to let people in New Hampshire see the candidates and how they stack up. I don't know that this precludes other candidates from getting into the mix, Wolf, but I do think this is going to be a very important, if not the most important, president election we've ever had.
It's wide open, Scott, as you well know, and I assume almost all of the candidates, if not all of them, are making frequent visits to New Hampshire already.
Oh, you bet, Wolf. We're still waiting for Hillary Clinton, but Barack Obama was here in December drawing some big crowds. John Edwards, after his announcement, the same thing. On the Republican side, Mitt Romney's a regular. We're waiting for John McCain to return, but he's been a regular, and we are definitely seeing these faces. We see this debate as an opportunity for maybe a first real reintroduction of sorts, a chance to ask some direct questions and get some direct answers. It's what the people of New Hampshire expect.
They've expected it in the past, Joe, and I've been there on many of these occasions. People in New Hampshire, they really want to get to know these candidates on a personal level, and certainly a kickoff debate like this can help.
Oh, I think that's so. New Hampshire people are really attuned to this. They're very proud of their voting record in regard to the presidential primary, and they ask the toughest questions. I hope as part of this, Wolf, that we get some audience participation.
Well, describe a little bit how we're planning on doing that, Joe, because we will have a large audience there, and they will be allowed to ask questions of these Democratic and Republican candidates.
This happened so fast this week that I'm not sure of those details. I think it'll be tough to keep out the very partisan audience of the various campaigns, but Channel 9 and Scott usually have a pretty good handle.
Well, let me bring Scott in on that, because Scott, we've had extensive conversations on how we want the audience to participate.
Well, we're still working on the details, Wolf, but suffice it to say, what we're hoping to be able to do is combine some of the questions directly from a media panel such as myself and the union leaders, John DeStaso, and bring in the audience for a chance with a little bit of guidance from folks that are going to be running this debate, like yourself, to be able to get some questions directly from the people. It's sort of the nature of New Hampshire politics up here. It brings that grassroots element that we've come to expect up here.
How excited are people in New Hampshire at this early stage? It's still a year to go.
They're very excited, Wolf. There is no question. When you see some of the crowds, I mean, we're a small state, Wolf, but when you see some of the crowds turning out for Barack Obama, like I said, and John Edwards, the anticipation for an arrival of Hillary Clinton, the fact that people still want to get as close as they can to John McCain, there is a huge air of expectation, and as you've been pointing out just on today's show even, these are critically important times. Decisions about the future of our country, the future of Iraq, They're being made right now. What better time to have the first-in-the-nation debate than in the first-in-the-nation primary state?
Joe, give us a little perspective because, as you and I know, you've been around doing these presidential primaries in New Hampshire for a long time, and your newspaper is so important in the state of New Hampshire. How big is this contest compared to years past, given the fact that it's the first wide-open race for the presidency in both parties?
Well, I think it's very big, and I think it's very wide open. Wolf, I'm glad you mentioned that, because some of the pundits are already saying that on the Republican side it's only McCain, Romney, and possibly Giuliani. I don't buy that at all. And on the Democratic side, even though Obama has certainly excited people up here, I think that's more rock star status than anything else. There are a lot of candidates. I think the people in New Hampshire are going to want to hear what these candidates have to say about Iraq in particular, in the Mideast, and terrorism in general. And that's why I think this debate will be a good starting point for that.
Joe McQuaid is the publisher of the New Hampshire Union Leader, and Scott Spaulding is the political director of WMUR-TV. They're our partners in sponsoring these first presidential debates. We're proud to do it with both of you guys. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. April 4th and April 5th, we'll all be in New Hampshire getting ready for these two presidential debates. Coming up, the Great Divide. Some Republicans head for the tall grass, while others stand by President Bush and his decision to send more troops into Iraq. Is the war going to split the GOP in two? Our John King is standing by. We'll be right back.
Here's how it works. Get the nation's slimmest smartphone for only $99.99. The Q. With easy access to email and Windows Mobile. It's the stylish way to work. From Verizon Wireless, America's most reliable wireless broadband network. Verizon Wireless. It's the network.
It all began with a big dream in a small town. Sam Walton's dream.
Treat the customers like they're your family.
You treat customers with respect.
Go above and beyond. A smile and a hello doesn't cost anything.
It's been said that when Walmart comes to town, it's like getting a nice pay raise.
Because our low prices save the average working family $2,300 a year.
Which buys a lot of things and a whole bunch of freedom. But Sam Walton's vision and our commitment today is much bigger than that. Last year alone, Walmart created thousands of new American jobs, many in areas where they're needed most. And every associate can qualify for health insurance for less than $1 a day.
Well, one thing that Sam believed in was that you should give back to the communities.
And this year, once again, neighborhood Walmart stores will be one of the largest corporate contributors to local charities in America.
Savings to customers.
Commitment to the community.
Opportunities for associates. Those are the values that guide us.
Sam's dream. Your neighborhood Walmart.
You gotta go where you wanna go and do what you wanna do.
Introducing the breakthrough in joint pain relief. New Move Free Advanced, with a formula clinically shown to be 2 times more effective than glucosamine and chondroitin alone. Uniflex protects, joint fluid replenishes, and glucosamine and chondroitin help rebuild your joints. New Move Free Advanced, joint pain relief 2 times more effective than glucosamine and chondroitin alone.
Watch the stars come out on CNN. CNN's coverage of the Golden Globe Awards includes red carpet arrivals.
I never dreamt that I would wind up on a carpet quite as red as this.
And doesn't stop until the after parties are over.
It gave me chills.
Watch CNN for an inside look at the fashions and behind-the-scenes excitement. Sevilla Vargas takes you on the road to gold, making stops at the night's most exclusive events. Tune in to CNN's continuing coverage of Hollywood's big night. Sponsored by L'Oreal Paris, because you're worth it.
Welcome back. On Capitol Hill today, some defenders of the president's revised war strategy piped up, but the harsh criticism from some other influential fellow Republicans still may be ringing in Mr. Bush's ears. Let's turn to our chief national correspondent, John King. This is a remarkable situation unfolding.
It sure is. You noted a bit earlier in the program that President Bush is taking the rare step of inviting the Republican congressional leadership up to Camp David for tonight and tomorrow morning. Now, the White House says this is largely a social event, but you can bet they'll talk a little bit of business because, as we learned in the past few days, now more than ever, the president needs their help.
Off to Camp David after a difficult week.
The already daunting challenge of an unpopular war, complicated by dramatic defections in the Republican ranks.
It's a deeply concerning reaction because we are running the risk of the United States basically being rudderless in the most important foreign policy question facing us in the next few months.
The scenes on Capitol Hill were stunning and a clear signal that survival trumps party loyalty, now that so many Republicans believe the president is not only wrong from a policy standpoint, but has lost control of the Iraq political debate. On the Senate floor, a Republican the president personally recruited to run 4 years ago.
It will put more American soldiers in the crosshairs of sectarian violence, create more targets. I just don't believe this makes sense.
And in the hearing rooms where Republicans could once be counted on to defend the White House against Democratic attacks.
The most dangerous foreign policy blunder in this country since Vietnam, if it's carried out. I will resist it.
66% of Americans in a new CNN Opinion Research Corporation poll oppose the president's plan to send up to 21,000 more troops to Iraq.
The public is pretty permissive of its leaders on national security policy. But once you get over 60% opposition on something, you better watch out. You have people jumping ship all over the place.
In fact, at least a dozen Senate Republicans oppose sending more troops. Many in this group are among the 21 GOP senators facing re-election 2 years from now. And other congressional Republicans are still angry at what they perceive as past slights or White House missteps, including the president's decision to wait until after the November election to fire Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld.
I understand that anger, I understand that frustration, but the problem is translating that into a crippling attitude toward this president's ability to conduct foreign policy.
It is worth noting, however, that most of the Republicans who say they oppose increasing troop levels will not go so far as to say they would support any Democratic effort to cut off or restrict war funding. Also worth noting, Wolf, there's a bit of a difference between the debate among Republicans in Congress and a debate among the Republicans running for president. Sam Brownback, one Republican contender, opposes the troop increase, but look at the three leading Republicans. John McCain, the senator, former Governor Mitt Romney of Massachusetts, former Mayor Rudy Giuliani of New York City, all three of them knowing full well that if they are the next president, they will inherit what's going on in Iraq. They support the president's plan to send more troops now.
And if Chuck Hagel decides to throw his hat into the presidential ring, which is by no means out of the question, he would position himself as the anti-war Republican candidate, as opposed to McCain and Romney and Giuliani, who've issued statements over the past few days supporting the president.
In the primaries, probably more of a risky position to be a Brownback or a Hagel. If you look at our new poll just out, still 66% of Republicans support the president's plan. That's way down from the support among Republicans the president used to get. But you do not have among Republican voters anyway mass defections just yet. Certainly concerns, but I don't think we're going to see an anti-Bush caucus emerge in the Republican Party out on the presidential campaign trail. The president still has pretty good support among Republicans.
John King, thanks very much. As our viewers know, John is part of the best political team on television. Some congressional Democrats recruited an elder statesman today to press their case for disengaging U.S. forces from Iraq. That would be former U.S. Senator and 1972 Democratic presidential nominee George McGovern. He likened the current conflict to the Vietnam War, which he fiercely opposed during his run for the White House.
In history, even a great tragedy or a great blunder may have a good side, in that this Vietnam situation is so outrageous, we will never again go down that road. And here we are, Mr. President Bush, going down that same road again.
On our political radar this Friday, New Mexico Governor Bill Richardson is setting a time frame for revealing his 2008 presidential campaign plans. On CNN's American Morning earlier today, the Democrat said he'll make an announcement one way or another by the end of this month. Democratic presidential candidate John Edwards is preparing to step onto the turf of a potential rival, Senator Hillary Clinton. The New York Daily News reporting that Edwards will deliver a sermon at a Harlem church on Sunday pegged to the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. Congressman Duncan Hunter today formally filed papers to form his Presidential Exploratory Committee. The California Republican took the first step toward a White House bid more than 2 months ago after he originally announced he was making preparations to run. Now he's exploring. A Republican congressman from Texas took his first step today toward a long-shot bid for the White House. A spokesman says Congressman Ron Paul formed a Presidential Exploratory Committee today as well. Paul was the Libertarian Party nominee for president back in 1988. Remember, for all the latest political news at any time, check out our political ticker at cnn.com/ticker. Up next, did President Bush get a bump from Wednesday's national address? And what can he do about these Republican defections? I'll ask Bill Bennett and Donna Brazil. They're standing by live for today's strategy session. And Lance Armstrong joins me next hour. He's taking his fight for cancer research funds to Capitol Hill. Will Congress listen? Stay with us. You're in The Situation.
What does it mean to refinance all your loans into one simple low monthly payment? It means a combo loan from Countrywide. It combines your first mortgage, your second mortgage, your auto loan, and your credit card debt into one low monthly payment. It means simplicity. It could mean extra cash in your pocket. It means saving money every month. It means with hundreds of home loan options, no one can do what Countrywide can. 1-800-CAN-DO-88.
Exclusive primetime jailhouse interview. A romantic walk on a beach ends in murder. Nancy Grace, Headline Prime, tonight, 8 Eastern.
In the battle against dry, rough, cracked feet, are you losing? Fight back with Gold Bond Foot Cream. Its penetrating formula helps heal dry feet like ordinary lotions can't. For victory over rough, cracked skin, Gold Bond Foot Cream. Victory over defeat.
Cold sores are gonna clear up. Put on a happy face.
Want them gone fast? Get Herpes L. Unlike other treatments, it helps heal lips fast, soothes skin, and protects lips. Herpes L.
Just put on a happy face.
Where do you want your next home to be? How about here? Near here? Or here? Just come to cbseal.com. See every house in one place. The interactive home search finds everything close to where you want to live. All from the comfort of your home.
Hey, look at this one.
Oh yeah, that's one I like it. Looking for a new home? Watch the Tour of Homes, brought to you daily by Coldwell Banker Barbara Sue Seal Properties on Comcast Cable Channel 15.
Cold sores are gonna clear up. Put on a happy face.
Want them gone fast? Get Herpes L. Unlike other treatments, it helps heal lips fast, soothes skin, and protects lips. Herpes L.
Just put on a happy face.
America's changing shape with Dexatrim Max 2.0. Now in 2 delicious new flavors.
Gives me and my water a boost.
Size 8, here I come. Helps curb cravings. A healthy way to max out your weight loss. Dexatrim Max 2.0. Max out your water.
Now available on demand. They're back. Don't miss Ice Age 2, The Meltdown. In the glamorous world of high fashion,
Just one stomach flew away from my goal weight.
the devil is in the details.
Little Crisco and some fishing line and we're in business.
Order The Devil Wears Prada tonight. Hit movies without the trip to the video store. On demand with Comcast Digital Cable.
When the weather is the news, trust CNN. It's essential.
Welcome back in our strategy session today. Public opinion and opposition to key parts of the president's new plan for Iraq. We have some fresh polls that we're trying to assess. Joining us now to help us, our CNN political analyst and Democratic strategist Donna Brazil, and our CNN contributor Bill Bennett. He's the fellow at the Claremont Institute and host of Morning in America. That's a radio show. Guys, thanks very much for coming in. Here are some of the numbers from our new poll, CNN Opinion Research Corporation poll. Do you favor or oppose the president's plan to send more troops to Iraq? 32% favor, 66% oppose. Another question, do you have more confidence in the Iraq policies of the president or Democrats in Congress? President gets 34%, Bill. The Democrats get 51%. The American public clearly not with the president on this sensitive issue.
Clearly not. War's going badly, and I think the explanation of policy has been badly managed. Nevertheless, the president remains the commander-in-chief. He has to lay out the alternatives. Others have to lay out the alternatives as well. I wish General Keane, Jack Keane, who has proposed this program and recommended it.
He's a retired U.S. Army general.
has explained it extensively on a lot of TV and radio shows. I wish he'd been there next to the president. Again, the president has to put the alternatives to the Democrats and to the American people. Do you really want to see the chaos that will...
Well, are you suggesting that when he delivered his address to the nation the other night, he didn't do a good job making his case?
No, he didn't do a particularly good job. He did a standard job. He needs better people. He needs better communicators. He needs more surrogates. This is a very, very important issue. The president did not move public opinion at all. It's not a terrible deficit of character not to be able to speak and move people this way, but you need to have people out there who can. There is a case to be made. John McCain can make the case. Joe Lieberman can make the case, for Pete's sakes, and are making it pretty well. For those of us who think this is a life and death situation, of the most critical importance, the case continues to be made. The other thing on these Republicans, I know you're going to get to it, we're going to know, I mean, we're in the fourth quarter here. Everybody knows that. We're going to know in about 4 to 6 months whether this plan works. I would hope these Republicans could keep shape long enough, that long, to give this president and his plan a chance.
Donna, we've been reporting the president's taking the Republican leadership in the House and the Senate to Camp David with him this weekend. He's got to keep this base if he has any prospect of achieving some sort of political rally right now.
Well, look, in November, the American people spoke, and I think they spoke loud and clear. The Democrats are now in control of the Congress, and the president needs Democrats. The other night, I don't think the president failed to communicate. What the president communicated, people heard before. It was deja vu, too little, too late, and too dependent on a Iraqi government that's been weak, that has not met any of the benchmarks set in 2006. And now the president is asking the American people to put our faith in Mr. Maliki, who most Americans don't believe is up to the job.
You believe he's up to the job?
Yeah, of course he's up to the job, but the job of communicating now has to be shared with others, because Donna makes my point. This is a different plan. It's not the same thing. It's not just clear, hold, and build. It's clear and hold and stay. Our soldiers will stay in these areas. It's very different militarily. Petraeus understands it, can explain it. Keane can, Kagan can, Lieberman can, McCain can. And that needs to be done. If people think it is just the same old, then the president doesn't stand a chance.
But the senator from New York, the junior senator Hillary Clinton, a potential presidential candidate, heading off to Iraq right now with Evan Bayh, another Republican congressman. I guess she's going to have a very difficult time within certain Democratic constituencies explaining her initial support for that resolution authorizing the war.
You know, I thought she came out with a pretty strong statement the other night where she criticized the president for mishandling this war, and she also came out very strongly and said that we need a new mission, a new course of action. Mrs. Clinton has a huge constituency over there in both Afghanistan and in Iraq, the 10th Mountain Division from Fort Drum, and she's gone over to talk to the troops directly.
From upstate New York. That's an important part of New York State.
Yeah, I'm glad she's going, and I don't criticize that at all. I don't think it's a political stunt. I'm glad Bayh is going, and I hope they will listen to the soldiers, talk to them. You know, Ayman al-Zawahiri, number 2 in al-Qaeda, has already declared victory in Iraq. Do we want to give the president another chance to, one more 6-month period with a new strategy so that we can take that victory away from them?
Let's get into real politics right now, presidential politics, 2008 presidential politics. We're going to be co-sponsoring, co-hosting this first Democratic and the first Republican presidential debate of the season, April 4th, April 5th, up in New Hampshire. The clock keeps moving up earlier and earlier. Are you surprised?
No, I'm not. And this is a great opportunity for the people of New Hampshire to get a look at these candidates. Look, we have some hot rock stars at the moment, but we also have some good, credible candidates who have not had the type of attention and exposure that they need in order to become top-tier candidates. So this will give them an opportunity on both the Republican and Democratic side to see what I believe are some seasoned presidential candidates.
How important, and I'm going to ask the same question on the Republican side to Bill, but how important on the Democratic side is the need for these Democratic presidential hopefuls to show up at an early debate like this?
Look, I hope they're booking their ticket right now, because this is going to be a very important debate. New Hampshire is the first primary in the country. These voters will decide ultimately what candidate best represent not just their values, but the values of the American people. So I'm hoping that they prepare themselves to get ready and get up to New Hampshire.
What do you think? Because it's a risky thing for some of these candidates to actually get into a debate with some really smart and articulate opponents.
It's moving up. They got to be there. They're having these private meetings. The public meetings should match the private meetings, it seems to me, in terms of commitments and positions. Your locution about these things keep moving up. It's like when the White House says mistakes were made. Who's moving this up? Who's co-sponsoring this debate? Fine with me, but I mean, I think the sooner we find out, this is the most interesting and exciting presidential campaign and consequential that we have seen in a very long time.
Because usually there's a president, or a former president, or a vice president, or somebody who's going to be running.
But how are you going to pick them by April? What's going to be the criteria? It's going to be really interesting.
Well, I would hope that someone who's filed with the FEC, that's an important criteria.
That's one criteria.
Real candidates who actually show up.
Absolutely. None of this exploratory stuff. Real candidates.
And we'll give them some time to make their respective cases.
And it's a good time of the year, April.
Early April in New Hampshire. A lovely time of the year.
Yes.
Beautiful state indeed. Guys, thanks very much.
Thank you.
We're going to be co-sponsoring that with the New Hampshire Union Leader, as well as WMUR-TV.
It's great for CNN.
Manchester.
Great for CNN.
Excellent.
Good for
Thanks very much, guys. Donna Brazil and Bill Bennett, by the way, as all of our viewers know, they are part of the best political team on television. Up next, the Cafferty File. Jack has your email. Should Iraq's oil industry be open to foreign oil companies? Jack and the Cafferty File when we come back.
Forget fine lines. It's deep wrinkles that make us look older. Neutrogena Anti-Wrinkle Intensive Serum delivers 4 times the retinol to help fill in the look of even the deepest wrinkles. Don't let deep wrinkles tell your age. Anti-Wrinkle Intensive Serum. Neutrogena.
Shouldn't a savings account make your savings go up? With the ING Direct Orange Savings Account, we pay high interest all the time. There are no minimums, no fees, ever. Your savings are free to grow. Call 1-800-ING-DIRECT. Save your money.
People love their hover-round power chairs.
You made me love you.
I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it.
I get embarrassed when people say they love me after I show them how much fun it is to get their independence back.
I love getting out of my house again, and boy, is it easy.
You made me love you.
Hi, I'm Tom Cruise, inventor of the Hover-Round. I can't sing, but I can guarantee you'll love what you can do in your Hover-Round.
I'm amazed at the people who say they love us just because we got them their Hover-Round at little or no cost.
I love Hover-Round because it did not cost me 1 penny.
Hover-Round is like riding around in an easy chair with wheels. You made me love you, and all the time you knew it.
People just love the round design. We say it's round for a reason, so you can turn and get through the narrowest door or hallway.
I love how easy it is to maneuver.
To find out more, call this number to get your free Hover-Round information kit.
You'll also love Hover-Round's exclusive pressure release system with lumbar support, 4-inch thick foam, and comfort ride inner springs.
Each time you fell in love with a Hover-Round and learned how to be independent again, call this number to get your free Hover-Round information kit, which includes a free video and a free test drive certificate. A Hover-Round mobility specialist will also do a personal evaluation to find the perfect model for you. Call today and you'll also get this special comparison guide that tells you how to choose the power chair that's right for you. There's no obligation. Call now to learn how you may get your Hover-Round for little or no cost.
You made me love you.
Call 1-800-653-0594 today to get your free Hover-Round information kit. That's 1-800-653-0594.
Dish Network subscribers, stand up and object. Court TV has been dropped. Dish Network subscribers don't stand for this injustice. Get Court TV by calling 1-800-710-1922.
Closed captioning provided by Head On. Head On applied directly to the forehead.
Head On. Apply directly to...
Head On. Apply directly to the forehead. Head On. Apply... Head On. I hate your commercial, but I love your product.
Head On is available without a prescription.
Check back with Jack Cafferty for the Cafferty File. Jack?
The question this hour is, should Iraq's oil industry be open to foreign oil companies? There's a bill in the Iraqi parliament to do just that. Larry in Kansas City, Missouri writes, Iraq's oil industry should be open to friendly foreign oil companies only if the profits go to paying back the U.S. the expenses it has incurred. Gerald in Richmond, Indiana, why shouldn't foreign companies run it? It's clear to me that Iraq doesn't have the technicians to do it. Almost all that has been built was done by foreign workers like me. I put in 7 years in that godforsaken country. Ronnie in Duluth, Georgia, open the Iraqi oil fields to foreign, read USA, exploitation? Why, of course. Otherwise, why would you have fought the war? Gene in Chevy Chase, Maryland, of course, until we force the Iraqis to privatize their oil industry, President Bush can't really say mission accomplished. Jim in Grand Rapids, Michigan, no. We didn't go there for the oil. We went there because of WMD. No, we went there to stop the spread of terrorism. No, actually, we went there to remove a dictator. No, that's not it. We went there to spread democracy. No, that's wrong, too. Why did we go there? The Bush administration told us all along that it was not for the oil. We all know they would never mislead the public. And Rick in Toronto writes, wasn't the latest reason given for the war supposed to be about creating a sustainable democratic government in Iraq, capable of making its own decisions? The question of opening up Iraq's oil industry is one for a sovereign Iraq to decide for itself. Wolf.
Thank you, Jack, for that. And to our viewers, you're in the Situation Room, where new pictures and information are arriving all the time. Standing by CNN reporters across the United States and around the world to bring you today's top stories. Happening now. It's 5 p.m. on Capitol Hill, where the Bush administration tries to give a boost to its troop boost. The Senate is divided on the Iraq plan, but our new poll shows among the American people it's not even close. Democrats share those doubts, but can they do anything about it? I'll ask their national chairman, Howard Dean, this hour. What's behind the seizure of Iranians by U.S. forces in Iraq? Is the president's tough talk about Iran and Syria just the beginning? And he may be the world's best-known cancer survivor. Can his heroic battle help other Americans save their own lives? I'll speak with legendary cyclist Lance Armstrong. That's coming up. I'm Wolf Blitzer. You're in the Situation Room. The Pentagon bosses were back on Capitol Hill today, facing the backlash over the plan for a troop increase in Iraq. They called on Congress to give the new strategy a chance, saying if it works, a withdrawal might begin sooner than expected. But Americans opposed the president's plan to send more troops to Iraq by a nearly 2-to-1 margin. According to a new CNN Opinion Research Corporation poll, 66% say they oppose the troop increase, 32% say they are in favor. We'll hear from CNN's Michael Holmes in Baghdad. I'll also speak with the New York Times bureau chief in Baghdad, John Burns. But let's go to our senior Pentagon correspondent, Jamie McIntyre, first. Jamie?
Well, Wolf, the Pentagon has high hopes for the new strategy in Iraq, but Defense Secretary Gates said today if it doesn't work, the U.S. can't just throw in the towel.
In his Senate testimony, Defense Secretary Robert Gates conceded the new Iraq strategy could fail, but argued Plan B should not be the phased withdrawal advocated by some Democrats.
If we talk about the consequences of American failure and defeat in Iraq, then saying if you don't do this, we'll leave, and we'll leave now, does not strike me as being in the national interest of the United States.
While a fresh brigade of U.S. troops from the 82nd Airborne Division is moving from Kuwait to Baghdad now, the new strategy won't be put to the test until early next month, when the first of 3 promised Iraqi brigades is scheduled to arrive. As the U.S. flows additional brigades in at the rate of 1 a month, Gates will be looking at 3 benchmarks to get a quick read on whether the plan is on track. The critical indicators will be if all 3 brigades of Iraqi troops show up as promised. Last time they didn't. If there's no political interference that frees suspects after they are caught. And if U.S. and Iraqi forces have access to all of Baghdad. Gates optimistically predicted that if the strategy shows results, he may not send in all the extra troops and could even begin withdrawing forces by year's end.
If these operations actually work, you could begin to see a lightening of the U.S. footprint, both in Baghdad and potentially in Iraq itself.
But the problem is success is beyond the control of the U.S. Everything depends on Iraqis doing things that so far they have been unwilling or unable to do.
Gates admits that if the Iraqis fail again, he doesn't know what the consequences are, except they'd have to relook at the strategy, and he says the alternatives don't look that good right now. Wolf?
All right, thanks, Jamie, for that. There's a growing controversy today over the seizure of several Iranians by U.S. military forces in the northern Iraqi city of Erbil. This as the White House flatly denies the president's tough words about Iran and Syria this week were a prelude to military action against those countries. The White House press secretary Tony Snow calling that an urban legend.
What the president was talking about is defending American forces within Iraq and also doing what we can to disrupt networks that might be trying to convey weapons or fighters into battle theaters within Iraq to kill Americans and Iraqis.
So is that what U.S. troops are up to in northern Iraq this week? Let's turn to CNN's Michael Holmes in Baghdad. Michael?
Wolf, what happened Thursday in northern Iraq close to the border with Iran is fast becoming a heated diplomatic spat. As we now know, 6 Iranians detained in the city of Erbil, prompting the Iraqi foreign minister to tell us we don't want Iraq to become a battleground for settling scores with other countries. Now, this incident was a U.S. military raid. The 6 people taken into custody because the military says they are closely tied to activities targeting Iraqi and coalition forces. Now, the Kurdish regional government, which is based in the city of Erbil, has slammed that U.S. operation and demanded the immediate release of the 6 people, one of whom we're now told by the U.S. military has already been let go. All of this timed right after some stark comments made by President Bush in his speech on Wednesday, when he accused Iran of providing material support for attacks on American troops. All of this, of course, as more U.S. troops head to Iraq, and the diplomatic language becoming increasingly stern between the two countries. Wolf?
All right, Michael, thanks very much. Michael Holmes in Baghdad. As the United States casts a stern eye at Syria, the Iraqi President Jalal Talabani will travel to Damascus this week, the first Iraqi president to do so in some 3 decades. Damascus won't be on the itinerary as Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice heads to the region as well. She'll make the rounds of the other major capitals, pushing the president's plan for Iraq. But that plan is not exactly being celebrated in Iraq itself. And joining us now from Baghdad, the New York Times Pulitzer Prize-winning correspondent John Burns. John, the spokesman for Nouri al-Maliki, the Prime Minister of Iraq, had a rather, in your words, a tepid response to the president's address to the nation the other night. What is suitable for our conditions in Iraq, he said, is what we decide, not what others decide for us. Since so much of the new U.S. strategy depends on cooperation from Nouri al-Maliki, what's going on?
Well, it's pretty clear that there are contending American and Iraqi agendas here. The United States is looking for a road home, which requires at least a minimal fulfillment of American objectives here. To accomplish that, they've got to have some kind of healing process amongst Iraqi politicians of different ethnic and religious backgrounds. Mr. Maliki, on the other hand, is a tribute of a Shiite religious interest, and as he would see it, of the 60% of the population that are Shiites who've waited 1,000 years for this opportunity to rule here, and they do not intend to be deflected or, if you will, constrained by the United States. So I think what we're going to see here is a growing contest of wills, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if the loser in that is Mr. Maliki. There's much talk across the river in the Green Zone about easing him out over the next few weeks or months.
So in other words, Nouri al-Maliki could be in trouble unless he delivers. Bottom line, do you think he has the guts to go stand up against Muqtada al-Sadr and the Mehdi army, this Shiite militia in Sadr city?
Do you know, I don't think it's a question of guts. I think all these people who went through the fire with Saddam, they're all former exiles, as you know. All of them, Mr. Maliki included, lost large proportions of their family to Mr. Saddam Hussein's gulag. I think it's a question of will, and whether or not Maliki, Nouri Kamal al-Maliki, can break with 30 or 40 years of commitment in the Shiite religious cause. There's no sign to date that he's been prepared to do that. He makes the right speeches. He sat across the table from President Bush and said all of the right things he did right from the start when he took office 8 months ago. He just hasn't done it. He continues to look for ways around it. Indeed, at the extreme, he has intervened to persuade the Americans to release captured Iraqis who the American military command has designated as death squad leaders in the Shiite interest. I beg your pardon. So the signs are not good, and I think one interpretation you can make of the Bush plan is that they've built this assumption in, that Maliki will not fulfill those pledges, he won't meet the benchmarks, and the Americans have been working intensively behind the scenes to create a kind of parallel political movement, a moderate political movement, based on factions within the existing Iraqi parliament that could be used as a vehicle for a parliamentary coup against Mr. Maliki.
Fascinating material. One related question, this U.S. military operation in the northern part of the country in Erbil, the Kurdish area, against these Iranian officials, supposedly diplomats, it's causing some heartburn in the Iraqi government, among the Kurds. What's going on?
Well, I'm in Baghdad. It happened in Erbil, 150 miles north of here. But it seems to me, from everything I know about it, that it's a straw in the wind, whatever else it may mean. And clearly the Iranians have been up to no good here. They've been supplying sophisticated weapons, including armor-penetrating missiles and rockets to insurgents here. They've been helping to kill American soldiers. Whatever else it may mean, I think it's part of the no more Mr. Nice Guy attitude. I think when you see General Petraeus come in here as the new U.S. military commander, there's going to be a lot less patience on the part of the American military command and of the American embassy here. I think there's going to be a lot less niceness about Iraq's so-called sovereignty. I think the line is going to be, this is the last chance. We're bringing in 20,000 of our troops. We know more of our boys are going to die. This time we expect you to perform, and we are not going to sit by and see Iranian diplomats or any other kind of Iranian agent in Iraq, in effect, arm, supply, advise, finance our enemy. So I think it was a signal event.
John Burns, thanks so much for your reporting. John Burns in Baghdad. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Wolf.
And this week at a White House briefing, I learned that as the president wrestles with the situation in Iraq, he's reading a book about another very difficult war, A Savage War of Peace. That's the book by Alistair Horn about the battle between France and revolutionaries in its then colony of Algeria. That war occurred between 1954 and 1962. This is the book. It describes an unsuccessful war against the bloody terrorist insurgency, an occupation that becomes a civil war between factions, a costly conflict that becomes very unpopular at home in France. And when the president gets to page 528, if he hasn't yet, he'll find that the French withdraw, and much of the French minority in Algeria ends up fleeing that country. A fascinating book with ramifications for today. Jack Cafferty's in New York with the Cafferty File. Jack?
Wolf, the Senate passed a measure today that will make convicted lawmakers lose their taxpayer-funded pensions. Imagine that. Part of an ethics and lobbying bill, the first piece of legislation taken up by the new Senate. As we talked about earlier this week in the Cafferty File, Senator John Kerry said that there are currently at least 20 lawmakers convicted of serious crimes continuing to draw their pensions, some of them as much as $125,000 a year. House members passed a similar measure last spring, but that reform package died when they couldn't reach an agreement with the Senate. Apparently there's some argument, some question about whether convicted criminals coming out of the Congress should be able to continue to draw their pensions. Don't get too excited. The Senate's measure is not retroactive, which means people like former Congressman Duke Cunningham, who's rotting away in prison, will still draw his $64,000 a year pension, which you and I pay for. Boy, they got some guts down there in Washington, don't they? Here's the question. Why should convicted lawmakers continue to receive their taxpayer-funded pensions? Email your thoughts on that to CaffertyFile@CNN.com or go to CNN.com/CaffertyFile. Wolf.
It's a good question, Jack. Thanks very much for bringing it up. Still to come, cycling champion Lance Armstrong in a different kind of uphill battle, fighting for more government funds for cancer research. I'll get details from him in a one-on-one interview this hour. That's coming up. Also, a major announcement about the first presidential debate. We'll have details of where it will be and the special role we're going to be playing. And Iraq playing a very important role in the next election. I'll talk about it with the Democratic Party Chairman Howard Dean. He's standing by to join us live. Stay with us. You're in the Situation Room.
The Situation Room is brought to you by Head On. Head On, applied directly to the forehead. Head On is available without prescription at your nearest pharmacy.
Head On, apply direct.
Head On, apply directly to your forehead. Head On, apply. Head On. I can't stand your commercial, but your product is amazing.
Head On is available without a prescription. New from the makers of Head On. Introducing Activon. Joint and muscle pain? Activon. Apply directly where it hurts. Activon Joint and Muscle. In stores now. New from the makers of Head On. Introducing Activon. Arthritis pain? Activon. Apply directly where it hurts. Activon Arthritis. In stores now.
Good morning. Good morning. The thing is, aging doesn't happen one problem at a time. For me, first arthritis hit, then high blood pressure, and the Aleve I took for my arthritis pain, I learned it may interact with my prescriptions. It's a good thing I did my homework.
The pure pain relief of Tylenol arthritis pain works all day, and when used as directed, has less drug interaction risk than Aleve.
Absolutely, that's right. Very good.
Larry King tomorrow, country star Wynonna Judd.
I get goosebumps.
CSI's Gary Sinise.
It wasn't about me. It was about them.
Unforgettable stories of courage and caring inside the Fisher House for Wounded Troops. Larry King, tomorrow 9 Eastern only on CNN.
Young Muslims transformed from innocence to extremism.
We are a war-united soldier.
Terror's surprising new breeding ground. Christian Amanpour uncovers the war within. CNN Special Investigations Unit, CNN, Saturday, January 20th.
If you're a man over 50, it's time to take the Avodart quiz. Are you always going? Do you have trouble going? Are you going at night? Maybe you think you have a going problem. But what if it's a growing problem? What if it's not your bladder, but instead you have an enlarging prostate? 50% of men over 50 do. And you may be able to do something about that going and growing with Avodart. Most medicines only treat symptoms. Avodart, with time, actually shrinks the prostate and improves urinary symptoms. Only your doctor can tell if your symptoms are from an enlarged prostate and not a more serious condition, such as prostate cancer. So have regular prostate exams. Avodart is for men only. Women should not take or handle Avodart due to the risk of a specific birth defect. Tell your doctor if you have liver disease. Rarely, sexual side effects, tenderness, or swelling of the breast can occur. Have you called your doctor? Avodart, for your growing problem.
Closed captioning provided by Activon. Applied directly where it hurts.
New from the makers of Head On. Introducing Activon. Arthritis pain? Activon. Apply directly where it hurts. Activon Arthritis. In stores now.
CNN Today has an important announcement regarding the 2008 presidential campaign. We're partners in the very first presidential debates of the primary season that's coming up in New Hampshire. CNN, WMUR Television, and the New Hampshire Union Leader will sponsor back-to-back debates among the Democratic and the Republican presidential candidates on April 4th and April 5th of this year. That's coming up in a few months. Democrats made some news of their own this week, naming Denver as the site for their 2008 presidential convention. The underlying theme as the campaign, though, gears up is certainly Iraq. Joining us now to discuss all of this, the chairman of the Democratic National Committee, Howard Dean. He's joining us from his home state of Vermont. He's in Burlington. Governor, thanks very much for coming in.
Great to be back, Will. Thanks for having me.
I want to talk about all the politics in a few moments. Let's talk about Iraq right now. The Democrats seem to be split on whether or not they should use the power of the purse to try to get U.S. forces out of Iraq. Where do you stand on this?
Well, I think that there's a lot of options being discussed right now. We need to be out of Iraq. We never should have gone in there. We went in there under false pretenses. The president was not truthful with the American people when we went in. But we have to leave in a careful, methodical way so as not to allow more destabilization to occur than is already going to occur. Now, the question is how to get the president to do that. There are going to be lots of different opportunities, I think, to express our displeasure, and there will be some opportunities to have some effect on the course of the war and how to bring our troops home. But the thing to remember is this. The President of the United States constitutionally has authority over our military policy and our foreign policy. That's not going to change. It didn't change when Richard Nixon pursued the war and with the Democratic Congress. Cutting off funds didn't work then. I think we have to be very careful what we do in terms of using the power of the purse, because we don't want to cut off support for our troops. You know, the president's sending troops over there now without adequate body armor. Our question is, what's he doing spending another $6.5 million sending more troops over there when he hasn't done right by the ones that are there already?
So what I hear you saying is you don't necessarily think Russ Feingold, the Democratic senator who's made a proposal to use this power of the purse, that that's the right way to go, at least not yet.
I think that, you know, first of all, I don't have a vote here, so I think I'd like to make it as easy as possible on the leadership. There are differing opinions. There's pretty much unanimity of opinions among Democrats that we don't belong in Iraq. Now the question is how to get out of there in a thoughtful, careful way without making things worse than the president's already made them. But there'll be debate in the Congress, and I think there's plenty of time to have that debate. The bill will pass, the appropriation will pass the House first and then go to the Senate.
Listen to Senator John McCain. He's an outspoken supporter of what the president is doing, and even he would have even sent more troops in as part of this increase. But he says that the Democrats, have a responsibility to tell the American public what the consequences of the withdrawal you're calling for would be. Listen to what he says.
Do they not fear Iranian, Saudi, and Turkish involvement in Iraq, a wider regional war, a haven for terrorists, a humanitarian catastrophe? Do they truly believe that we can walk away from Iraq?
All right, what do you say to Senator McCain?
He sounds very much like Richard Nixon. You know, just stay a little longer, stay a little longer. We'll stay long enough to lose another 5,000 or 10,000 people. Still won't change anything. We never should have gone there in the first place. Senator McCain bears some responsibility for supporting the president when we went. His prescription for getting out is no prescription for getting out. The American people have already rejected the stay the course position of Senator McCain and President Bush. We need new leadership in this country, and that's what the presidential election is going to be about in 2008.
You announced yesterday that Denver is the winner for the Democratic presidential convention. That'll be in the summer of 2008. Why Denver as opposed to New York, which was also in the running?
New York's a great city, and they've done this before. They know what they're doing. It was a close call. We took a lot of time to do it, but you know, since I've been in the chairmanship of this party, I've tried to expand the battlefield with the Republicans to the West and the South and other places where we have not been particularly competitive. We know we can win in the West. We've had a great run in the 04 elections and the 06 elections. I think we have 5 or 6 governors in the western states, in the western Rocky Mountain states. It's terrific, and we need to continue there. You know, in politics, I think if you're playing defense, you're losing, and I think we ought to be fighting on the Republican grounds, not on the Democratic grounds, and that's what we're really doing. We're looking to make the West a reliably Democratic part of the country, and I think we can do that.
You ran for president 4 years ago. You spent a lot of time in New Hampshire in the process. A neighbor of yours. We're going to be co-hosting this first Democratic presidential debate and the first Republican presidential debate April 4th and 5th in New Hampshire. I'll ask you a question I asked our strategy session earlier. How important is it for presidential hopefuls to show up at these early debates?
I think it's important. I think you'll see people doing it, too. We went through about 27 of them 4 years ago, and the reason is if 4 or 5 people say yes, then you really have to not miss the opportunity to go and speak your piece, or people are going to wonder why. I'm glad you chose New Hampshire. I think New Hampshire's been feeling a little bruised since we added 2 additional early states to the early times, but I think this shows that New Hampshire remains just as important as it always was. And I welcome that, and I hope to be able to be there in the audience.
We'll see you there, Governor. Thanks very much for coming in.
Thanks, Wolf.
And coming up, he beat cancer. He won the Tour de France 7 times, but can Lance Armstrong get the government to increase cancer funding? I'll ask him about the new uphill battle he's facing. Plus, details of a major and deadly ice storm. Millions of Americans feeling the freeze right now. Stay with us. You're in the Situation Room.
Tonight on Anderson Cooper 360, Lance Armstrong's War, the 360 interview, plus Oprah Winfrey and her crusade to save Africa one person at a time. CNN tonight, 10 Eastern.
You can donate a car, you can donate a bike, you can donate an ottoman if you really like, you can donate a picture, you can donate a chair, you can donate the clothes that you hardly ever wear. Salvation Army. You can buy the brand names that you really do like, buy a car, buy an ottoman, you can buy a bike, you can buy a pretty picture, you can hang it on the wall, buy stuff that you never would find at the malls. Salvation Army. And the money from the sales of the stuff that you buy could help somebody get a whole new life. Salvation Army will do what's best. You donate, we'll do the rest. Salvation Army.
Call 1-800-SA-TRUCK.
You know we're supposed to be in high def now, right?
Get the big game in high def. Sign up for HD from Comcast and get the best HD picture quality available with no expensive equipment to buy. You'll also get more of the HD programming you want. Just call 1-888-COMCAST today. HD from Comcast. It's Comcastic.
When the weather is the news, trust CNN. It's essential.
See me driving down the street. I'm bored with looking good. 'Cause I'm a punk rocker, yes I am.
Investment planning doesn't have to be difficult. Meet Beth Griffin, investor.
A great restaurant doesn't just happen. You have to pay attention to every detail. That's good. So when it comes to managing my investments, anything that makes my life easier and helps me save time is definitely welcome. Those salads are great.
TD Ameritrade offers tools and services to help you stay on top of your investments. And innovative investment services like Amerivest can help you easily create a diversified portfolio.
I love what I do, and now I have the freedom to do it. So how was your dinner tonight?
Are you ready to declare your independence? Call today and get a free investment consultation. TD Ameritrade. Independence is the spirit that drives America's most successful investors.
To our viewers, you're in the Situation Room where new pictures and information are arriving all the time. Happening now, President Bush facing an uphill battle as he tries to convince the country more troops are the answer for Iraq. And at the same time, new problems involving Iran. Growing controversy over the seizure of several Iranians by U.S. troops in the northern Iraqi city of Erbil. An uphill battle also for seven-time Tour de France champion Lance Armstrong. We'll show you what the cancer survivor is doing right now that could prove to be one of his toughest battles yet. And House Speaker Nancy Pelosi having to fend off allegations of hypocrisy. We're going to show you who's making the allegations and how it's tied to the minimum wage hike. I'm Wolf Blitzer. You're in the Situation Room. Armstrong knows what it takes to overcome the odds and achieve victory. He beat cancer and went on to win the Tour de France a record 7 times. But now, as an advocate for increased funding for cancer research and treatment, he's facing an entirely new battle. My interview with Lance Armstrong, that's coming up. But first, let's turn to CNN's Carol Costello. She's in New York. She has more on Armstrong's fight to beat this illness. Carol?
Lance Armstrong, cancer survivor, world champion, father, celebrity, politician. Yes, Armstrong is becoming quite the political player to the delight of cancer researchers everywhere.
Remember me, cancer?
Call it a full-court press. He's been on TV, an American super athlete who successfully fought cancer, providing inspiration for others. And has he ever? His yellow Livestrong plastic bracelets, a symbol of cancer awareness, became so wildly popular, they spawned a whole fashion trend. But Armstrong is more than just an inspirational figure. He's become a flat-out lobbyist for the American Cancer Society. Able to get the ear of the big guy himself, President Bush, telling him face-to-face that funding for cancer research is coming up short, something that doesn't please everyone.
Lance Armstrong's efforts are laudable to bring attention to cancer, but his statements that the funding for cancer is not, that the funding is not fair, is not factual.
But Armstrong and the American Cancer Society don't agree, saying funding for next year has been cut 30% because cancer isn't sexy.
When you come along and you talk about cancer and talk about funding, it's not, for lack of a better word, it's not sexy anymore. But, you know, we can all remember the frenzy around the bird flu. We can all remember the frenzy around SARS. People were freaking out. But what we need now is we need people to re-engage in the fight against cancer.
And that means an Armstrong-led grassroots effort at making the feds re-engage, like this one on Capitol Hill back in September. But again, those critics who say celebrity clout sometimes clouds the issue, directing money where it doesn't deserve to go. Take a look. According to the National Institutes of Health, $5.6 billion federal dollars goes towards cancer research. That compares to $2.3 billion for cardiovascular disease, which kills twice as many people in this country, and $1.1 billion for diabetes, a growing healthcare crisis in the country. And as for HIV/AIDS research, that clocks in at $2.9 billion.
We are calling for a redistribution of some of that 10% that now goes to HIV to other diseases.
But Wolf, the American Cancer Society, says this isn't a contest, and there certainly is no denying this. 1.3 million Americans are diagnosed with cancer every year.
And we know many of them. Thank you very much, Carol, for that. So can the Tour de France champion win this uphill race and get the federal government to increase cancer funding? And joining us now is Lance Armstrong. Lance, thanks very much for coming in. Thanks for what you're doing.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Wolf.
You wrote a piece on CNN.com this week. It's got an incredible number of hits. Among other things, you said is this: What are we going to do to effectively fight cancer? Millions of Americans with cancer are asking. I'm not known for my patience. When it comes to cancer, I hope you aren't either. What's going on? Tell us what your new initiative is all about.
Well, it's really a 10-year initiative for me. I mean, I was diagnosed more than 10 years ago, and looking back to that day, if you just said to me at the time, what's cancer going to look like 10 years from now, I probably wouldn't have guessed that it looks the way it does today. Having said that, we've had success stories. I mean, I'm obviously sitting here, came back to win 7 tours. There's 10 million cancer survivors in this country. But the fact of the matter is that we lose 600,000 American lives every year to cancer. And so that is a huge number. And if that happened on one single day in an act of terrorism, this country would go absolutely crazy. So, obviously it doesn't happen in one day, but it is, that breaks down to 1,500 Americans every day. So on 9/11, every 2 days.
So what do you want the government to do to try to deal with this problem?
Yeah, and I just want to be clear. I don't want to get in and start criticizing the government and the administration. I do think that ultimately I think the onus falls on the American people. I mean, we the citizens have to sit down or stand up and say, listen, this is what matters to us. Is it terrorism? Is it education? Is it our health care? Is it cancer? Is it research? Is it funding? What is it? And ultimately, we're the ones that have to stand up and say, this is what we care about. This is what we're voting for, and we'd like a change. And to me, it's an old issue, and again, it's our responsibility to stand up and say, you know what, we care about it, we want to make a difference, and ultimately, we want to end the fight against cancer.
What do you say to those who argue, you know what, there's a limited pot out there, there's a certain amount of money, X amount of money, if you devote more to cancer research, automatically that means less is going to go to heart disease or diabetes or some of the other major killers in the United States?
Yeah, I'm very realistic and know that this is a competitive issue. Not only are we competing against a defense budget that's strapped, but we also compete, as you said, against heart disease, diabetes, AIDS, all the other issues that fall under the umbrella of the NIH. But I think that we have to look at the ones that are the deadliest to this country. And even, just taking it a step farther, look, we've done a lot of work in cancer, and let's just say we lose 600,000 lives a year. 200,000 of those we could cure today, just applying what we know and what we've already paid for, what we've already researched and what we've already discovered. So let's save a full third of these American lives, and then let's go for the last 2/3 with an increase in leadership and funding and research. I
want to quote to you what Hamilton Jordan, he was the White House Chief of Staff under former President Jimmy Carter, what he said in Sports Illustrated. Get your reaction. And he's a cancer survivor, Hamilton Jordan himself. Almost half the people alive today will have cancer in their lifetimes. That's a damn epidemic. And what are we doing about it? If you went back and added up all the budgets for the National Cancer Institute over the past 3 decades, we spent as much money on cancer as we spend in Iraq in 9 months. $2 billion a week we're spending in Iraq right now. Is that an apt comparison?
Well, I think it's probably, I think Hamilton's probably pretty close to accurate when it comes to the sheer numbers. I mean, I was watching a program the other night, and you realize that the efforts in Iraq and Afghanistan are more than $1 million every 5 minutes. And listen, I'm not here to say that's right or that's wrong. This is basically like a household, and you've got the mom and the dad and the income that comes in, and then after that you've got to buy food, you've got to pay the energy bills, you've got to pay for your gasoline, and at the end of the day, you have what you have left, and maybe you get to take a vacation. So our little country club, or this great country, is just that. We have a budget to manage, and under that, we have to pick and choose how we spend the money. But again, it's up to us, the people, to say, you know what? Cancer just shouldn't be this way. It's such an exciting time scientifically. Let's go out and do the easy things right now. Let's continue to seek the best leadership. Fund the most promising young scientists out there, the guys that are starting to turn away from basic science right now, and give these guys money and give them attention.
Fair enough. Well, Lance Armstrong, thanks for your good work. Appreciate your coming in.
Thank you.
And Lance Armstrong teams up with CNN Chief Medical Correspondent Dr. Sanjay Gupta this weekend for a cancer special. Saving Your Life, airing Saturday and Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. Something you're definitely going to want to see, especially you or anyone you know or love has cancer. Sanjay and Lance this weekend, only here on CNN. Coming up, a tuna fish plant in American Samoa is let off the hook when it comes to the federal minimum wage hike. We're going to tell you why Republicans are now casting barbs at the House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. And all eyes are on Iraq. But is Iran the next target for U.S. military action? Reading between the lines in the president's ominous words. Much more coming up right here in The Situation.
It's time to play Take On Orbits. This week's winner is you. That's right, you.
Save $300 on select 7-night vacations to Mexico, the Caribbean, and Hawaii during the winter getaway sale. Just Orbits and go.
Always use protection.
I love this one. This man finally popped the question.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
But his Visa card was over the limit.
I'm so sorry. There seems to be a problem.
His fiancée told him to call American Express.
Okay, this one's so cool. A Gold Card member wanted a special gift for his wife's birthday.
Oh.
So I got him tickets through Gold Card events for the concert of the year before they went on sale.
Got him.
Call 1-800-THE-CARD for the Preferred Rewards Gold Card.
This one's quite romantic. Card member calls up, wants to take her husband to this really authentic Italian restaurant. I say, it's easy with our rewards program. Go online, pick almost any flight, you can pay with points, and go.
Tiramisu.
Italian food in Italy. Bellissimo.
Get up to 5 additional Preferred Rewards Gold Cards for one low fee. Call 1-800-THE-CARD and apply for the card that can get you more.
Here's a radically simple suggestion from eLoan. Spend too much money spreading the holiday cheer? Consolidate your debt with a home equity loan and pay one low monthly rate. Just call 1-800-TRY-eLoan or go to eLoan.com. eLoan. Radically simple.
You don't have to die from cancer. Right now, there are things you can do to save your life. Join me in the ultimate survivor, Lance Armstrong.
Saving Your Life, a Dr. Sanjay Gupta special. CNN Saturday and Sunday night, 8 Eastern.
There's the week, there's the weekend, and then there's the weekender.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the subscription from the New York Times, I love it.
Like your whole weekend's just started. It's come a little early.
So the deal is you call the 1-800 number, and then you get Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for $3.25, which is half off, which is pretty crazy.
So you get the Friday paper, and boom, you're right into the weekend.
Saturday. The word alone makes me happy.
I love to sort of pull everything out of the Sunday paper.
Travel section.
Magazine.
Weekend review.
The international news.
The book review. I got these really great boots after reading the Sunday style section.
All I did was call the 1-800 number.
I'm not one of those call now people.
Call!
You should call now.
I love to have the New York Times delivered.
Who doesn't like to save money?
Call now because it's a great deal.
It's like having a table of contents for everything in the world.
I mean, how much would you give for that?
The Weekender subscription from the New York Times. Get it now for as low as $3.25 a week. Call 1-800-727-7464.
Who doesn't like to start the weekend a day early?
Let's check back with Carol for a closer look at some other stories, including a developing one we're just getting in right now. Carol?
I'm telling you, Wolf, this is an incredible story. This is from our affiliate KMOV in St. Louis. Authorities have located 2 missing boys. One 13-year-old Ben Ownby, he's been missing since Monday. They found him in an apartment in Kirkwood, Missouri, which is near St. Louis. But here's the most amazing part. They also found Sean Hornbeck. He has been missing since 2002. We don't know what condition these boys were in, but we do know they have been found. That's according to numerous authorities and numerous police agencies, and this is again according to KMOV. They're stationed outside FBI headquarters. When we get more information on this incredible story, of course, we'll pass it along to you. Also in the news, at least 2 deaths are blamed so far on icy conditions that stretch from Texas to Missouri. Our own CNN meteorologists are calling it a major ice storm, and they're forecasting its spread over the weekend. It's the result of the coldest Arctic blast to hit the United States so far this winter. The cold temperatures stretching all the way to California, where Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger has declared a state of emergency. An investigation now underway in the crash of a business jet a few hours ago in Southern California. It went down while taking off from the Van Nuys Airport, killing 2 people on board. An airport spokeswoman says the pilot said he was having some difficulties, and an FAA official says an emergency was reported, but there's no details yet of what exactly went wrong. That's the latest for now, Wolf.
All right, we'll check back with you, Carol. What an amazing story on those 2 little boys. Thank you. Up ahead, there was swift reaction online to the news that soccer superstar David Beckham is coming to the United States, but it's not necessarily the kind of reaction you might expect. We're going to explain. Also, there's an intriguing and controversial loophole in the federal minimum wage bill that just passed the House, and it's right in Nancy Pelosi's backyard. We'll tell you what's going on right here in The Situation.
It feels like I get this same cold every year. So I got the same nighttime medicine I always get, but I was still congested. So it wasn't the same.
Many cold medicines have changed. NyQuil no longer has a decongestant. New Tylenol Cold does. It helps relieve more of your worst cold symptoms, and it helps you sleep. It's one more step towards a pain-free world. Stop. Think. Tylenol Cold.
I was turning 50, and so were my eyes.
Nancy came into Pearl Vision for her annual checkup.
Now my eyes see perfectly.
They're Nancy's eyes, but they're my responsibility.
Right now at Pearl Vision, buy 1 pair of eyeglasses and get a free pair valued up to $200.
If you purchased or refinanced your home a couple of years ago and you got one of those adjustable teaser rates to qualify, just call or log on to ditech.com and refinance to a low fixed rate. Log on or call 1-800-71-FIXED.
If you're a man over 50, it's time to take the Avidart quiz. Are you always going? Do you have trouble going? Are you going at night? Maybe you think you have a going problem. But what if it's a growing problem? What if it's not your bladder, but instead you have an enlarging prostate? 50% of men over 50 do, and you may be able to do something about that going and growing with Avidart. Most medicines only treat symptoms. Avidart, with time, actually shrinks the prostate and improves urinary symptoms. Only your doctor can tell if your symptoms are from an enlarged prostate and not a more serious condition, such as prostate cancer. So have regular prostate exams. Avidart is for men only. Women should not take or handle Avidart due to the risk of a specific birth defect. Tell your doctor if you have liver disease. Rarely, sexual side effects, tenderness, or swelling of the breast can occur. Have you called your doctor? Avidart, for your growing problem.
Why are American middle-class workers working longer and harder than Europeans? Why does it take 2 incomes for a middle-class family just to get by? It's time to put our middle class first.
Lou Dobbs tonight. CNN coming up next.
It's time for answers.
Tonight on Anderson Cooper 360, Lance Armstrong's War, the 360 interview. Why isn't there more money for cancer research? Plus, Oprah Winfrey and her crusade to save Africa. CNN tonight, 10 Eastern.
Closed captioning hours provided by Nature's Tears Eye Mist Dry Relief.
Nature's Tears Eye Mist, the natural way to soothe and moisturize tired, strained, dry eyes. Nature's Tears Eye Mist. Now, doesn't that feel better?
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is coming under fire from some Republicans for a loophole in the minimum wage hike passed by the House earlier this week as part of the Democrats' first 100 hours agenda. Let's turn to CNN's Brian Todd. He's following this controversy. Brian?
Wolf, we're not even a quarter of the way into those 100 hours, and already this minimum wage dispute forces the new speaker to fend off partisan accusations of hypocrisy. Barely a week with the gavel in their hands, Nancy Pelosi and her allies have to use it to ward off a Republican onslaught.
Would it be appropriate to offer an amendment at this time exempting American Samoa, just as it was from the minimum wage bill?
The gentleman will subside.
That sarcastic Republican challenge on the House floor, symbolic of a speaker under political siege over the minimum wage bill Pelosi so fervently pushed through for her first 100 hours agenda. It raises the minimum wage from $5.15 to $7.25 an hour, even for the first time to the Northern Marianas Islands, a U.S. territory, but not to American Samoa. That territory gets to keep its minimum wage well below $7.25. A huge opponent to a minimum wage hike there, Starkist Tuna, which owns a packing plant on American Samoa, a big employer. Starkist's parent company, Del Monte Foods, is headquartered in Pelosi's San Francisco district.
Now we find out that she is exempting her hometown companies from minimum wage. This is exactly the hypocrisy and double talk that we have come to expect from the other side.
Hold the hypocrisy talk, say top Democrats. Their aides tell CNN American Samoa's always been held to a different wage standard, including when Republicans were in power, because it's so difficult for the island's tuna canneries to compete with plants in Pacific Rim countries that pay their workers next to nothing. A Pelosi aide denies she's been lobbied by Del Monte. Company officials say the same. Records show Del Monte's employees contributed very little to Democrats over the past 2 years. A Pelosi aide even says she had nothing to do with this part of the legislation. But today, the political storm forced her to backtrack.
I don't think it is okay. I've asked the Energy and this Education Work Labor Committee as they go forward with the legislation to make sure that all of the territories have to comply with the U.S. law on the minimum wage.
So now Nancy Pelosi may have an internal fight on her hands. The Democratic congressional delegate from American Samoa tells me he's going to talk with the party's leadership about this doubling back. He says his island needs this special consideration because of its reliance on the tuna business, and they've gotten that consideration since the 1950s. Wolf?
Thank you, Brian, for that. Brian Todd, as our viewers know, he's part of the best political team on television. And this important announcement, we're partners in the very first presidential debates of the primary season in New Hampshire. CNN, WMUR Television, and the New Hampshire Union Leader will sponsor back-to-back debates among the Democratic and Republican presidential candidates on April 4th and April 5th of this year. Mark your calendars. Lou Dobbs getting ready for his program that begins right at the top of the hour. He's giving us a preview. Lou?
Well, thank you very much. Tonight we're reporting on the latest on a case that's being called an outrageous miscarriage of justice. 2 former U.S. Border Patrol agents convicted of shooting a Mexican drug smuggler given immunity by the U.S. Justice Department could soon find out whether they'll be going to prison next week or will finally receive justice. We'll have that report. Also, congressional Democrats swept into power promising to reform the culture of corruption. But wait, it seems some of those Democrats aren't as enthusiastic about ethics reform as first appeared. We'll have that story. And there are troubling new questions tonight about those e-voting machines used in last November's election. It turns out that a lot of that testing wasn't testing at all. We'll have that and a great deal more at the top of the hour right here on CNN. Please join us. Wolf, back to you.
All right, Lou, thanks very much. Sounds good. Coming up, by the way, in our 7 p.m. Eastern hour here in the Situation Room, Senator Hillary Rodham Clinton heading over to Iraq right now as she weighs a possible White House bid. We'll have details of her trip and the possible impact. And straight ahead, is President Bush alluding to possible military action against Iran? Our special correspondent Frank Sesno helps us read between the lines. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Just like your colds, your child's cold can come with plus aches and pains, so they can have coughs plus an achy body, a stuffy nose plus a throbbing head. But not every children's medicine treats all these symptoms. Children's Tylenol Plus Cold does. It combines effective cold medicines with the doctor-recommended pain relief of children's Tylenol to help you both feel better. Stop. Think. Children's Tylenol Plus Cold.
Weather, 1,000 images, one network.
The heaviest snow will be south of Seattle.
When the weather is the news, trust CNN. It's essential.
Think
Think your pets are safe from fleas and ticks in winter? Think again. To protect against skin irritation and disease, they need flea, tick, and heartworm medication year-round. Plus supplements like Super Joint Enhancer for cold weather joint pain. Fortunately, they cost a lot less at 1-800-PET-MED. And they're delivered free right to your door with a 100% guarantee. I trust 1-800-PET-MED for fast service, free shipping, and big savings. Call now or order online.
No matter what you're searching for, Comcast can help you find it. Just click the Searchlight button from your on-demand menu to look for homes, cars, restaurants, you name it. Searchlight. What are you looking for?
Looking for a new car? The GM showroom can tell you everything you need to know about our cars and trucks. Just press channel 889 on your remote to learn more.
Cholesterol. My doctor said to watch it. So I ride my bike, eat the good stuff, and take garlic every day.
Garlic's clinically proven ingredient maintains healthy cholesterol naturally.
The doctor's happy. So am I.
Eat right, exercise, garlic.
Does back pain limit your motion?
Get relief with Icy Hot Pro Therapy. Powered by Hot Packs. Up to 8 hours of muscle-relaxing, pain-relieving heat that goes where you go. Icy Hot Pro Therapy.
Strong support plus powerful relief.
So do you have friends in New York?
Yeah.
What home phone service do you use?
Comcast, definitely. I get
unlimited calling in the U.S. and Canada.
great local customer service.
All my favorite calling features.
Voicemail notifies me online.
It works on the phones I already have.
I got to keep my phone number.
And we only pay $33 a month for the whole year.
Now's your last chance to get Comcast Digital Voice for just $33 a month. Offer ends January 31st. Call 1-800-COMCAST today.
In Your Life, a Dr. Sanjay Gupta special. CNN Saturday and Sunday night, 8 Eastern.
As we reported earlier, the White House today is downplaying suggestions the president's tough talk about Iran could be a prelude to military moves. But in all the talk and the action this week on Iraq, you can certainly read a lot between the lines, a lot of worry about Iran. Let's bring in our special correspondent, Frank Sesno. Frank?
Well, Wolf, you're right. You know, all week long has been talk about Iran, but about Iraq, rather. But the growing concern by the day about Iran raises serious questions about their role in the region, about their nuclear program, and about what the Bush administration is going to do about it.
The president's public case against Iran started in the days just after 9/11, when he said it was part of
an axis of evil, arming to threaten the peace of the world.
As Iran pursued its nuclear program and stiff-armed European and UN negotiators, the warnings grew sharper and more explicit.
They shall not have a capacity to make a nuclear weapon and or the knowledge as to how to make a nuclear weapon.
We will not allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon.
Iran, armed with a nuclear weapon, poses a grave threat to the security of the world.
Iran has remained defiant, its president boasting about its nuclear program, insisting it's Iran's business and for peaceful purposes, but also issuing menacing threats directed at the U.S. and its ally, Israel. Last April, he called Israel a rotten, dried tree that will be annihilated in one storm. In his Iraq speech this week, President Bush mentioned Iran half a dozen times.
We will work with others to prevent Iran from gaining nuclear weapons and dominating the region.
Just how remains unclear.
But look at all the signals, how starts to get a little bit of clarity. An aircraft carrier group moving to the region, Patriot anti-missile batteries being deployed to Gulf allies in the region, increasing efforts to tighten the screws down on banking and business where Iran is trying to work on the global stage. So great concern, Wolf, and new moves at a number of levels to try to tighten the screws.
So is a military action imminent?
Well, we saw Erbil. We saw the raid on the Iranian facility there in the north of Iraq yesterday. But the people I talk to say, no, it's not imminent, but there are signals being sent that the United States is capable. There's a lot of concern that the Iranians are reading all this questioning in the United States and all the flack the president is getting as an inability to project power, and there's a strong desire that that not be the case.
All these signals that the U.S. is sending right now, what are they meant to achieve?
They're meant to achieve resolve, a demonstration of resolve both for the Iranians but also for the Sunni-led American allies in the region.
The Saudis.
Saudis, the Gulf states, the Jordanians, who may see all this debate in the United States and feel the United States is going to leave. But there's also another audience, and that's here. And the politics are nasty and rough on Iraq, and they're nasty and rough on Iran as well. Yesterday, you heard Joe Biden tell Condi Rice that if you're planning something on Iran, you better come back to the Congress first, or you'll spark a constitutional crisis.
Yeah, when I was at the White House earlier in the week for a briefing, I was told specifically that the U.S. allies, the Sunni Arab allies like the Saudis, the Egyptians, the Jordanians, very worried about Iran
and
and
talking about starting their own nuclear program. You could have an arms race in a very unstable part of the world.
We'll watch this with you, Frank. Thanks very much. Our special correspondent, Frank Sesno. Up next, Jack Cafferty wants to know, why should convicted lawmakers continue to receive their taxpayer-funded pensions? Jack with the Cafferty File when we come back.
Here's how it works. Get the nation's slimmest smartphone for only $99.99. The Q. With easy access to email and Windows Mobile. It's the stylish way to work. From Verizon Wireless, America's most reliable wireless broadband network. Verizon Wireless, it's the network.
Let me tell you about a very important phone call I made. When I got my Medicare card, I realized I needed an AARP Medicare Supplement insurance card too.
One simple call gave me the chance to talk with a personal health insurance advisor
Who answered all my questions about Medicare Supplement plans, so I could understand it all. After I called, I was able to choose the plan that was right for me.
If you're already on or eligible for Medicare, call now to find out how an AARP Medicare Supplement Insurance Plan, insured by United Healthcare Insurance Company, helps you pay some of the 20% of your medical expenses not covered by Medicare Part B. That can save you from paying thousands of dollars out of your own pocket. These are the only Medicare Supplement Insurance plans exclusively endorsed by AARP, a name you trust. When you call now, we'll send you this free information kit with all you need to enroll, so you can join the millions of people who've already trusted us for their Medicare Supplement insurance. Plus, we'll send you this free guide to understanding Medicare.
The prices are competitive. I can keep my own doctor and choose my own hospital.
and I don't need a referral to see a specialist.
Call now to get the free information kit. Plus, we'll include this free Medicare guide. And the advantages don't end there. You can choose from a wide range of plans that are all competitively priced, so you can find a plan that best fits your needs and budget. There are virtually no claim forms to fill out. And best of all, they're the only Medicare supplement plans endorsed by AARP.
When they told me these plans were endorsed by AARP,
I had only one thing to say. Sign me up.
Call now, 1-800-495-9137, and let us help you choose the right plan. So call now, 1-800-495-9137, and find out about an AARP Medicare Supplement Insurance Plan. A personal health insurance advisor is waiting for your call.
Larry King tomorrow, country star Wynonna Judd.
Now I get goosebumps.
CSI's Gary Sinise.
It wasn't about me, it was about them.
Unforgettable stories of courage and caring inside the Fisher House for wounded troops. Larry King, tomorrow 9 Eastern, only on CNN.
What's the first thing you did when you heard that soccer star David Beckham signed a reported $250 million deal with the Los Angeles Galaxy? Probably wasn't buying up as many websites as possible with words like Beckham and LA Galaxy, but that's exactly what a few people actually did. Let's turn to Abby Tatton for details. Abby?
Well, BeckhamGalaxy.com, BeckhamInLA.com. Within 30 minutes yesterday, people started buying up some of these websites. Now, this is the official website here. Of the others, we spoke to a couple of the new owners. One told us from California that they bought theirs because their girlfriend was a huge fan of Beckham, plus they wanted to make a little bit of money. Another new owner said that they didn't want to make money at all. They were interested more in Beckham's charity work. But these different sites are all in a different stage of development, but they have one thing in common. They either have the name Beckham or Galaxy in the web address, sometimes both. So the question is Major League Soccer or Beckham going to do anything about it? There are laws against cyber squatting, that's using a brand name or a trademark and trying to profit off it, using it in bad faith. That would have to be proved. We tried to reach Beckham representatives today, but they weren't available for comment. Wolf.
Abby, thank you for that. Let's go to Jack in New York. Jack?
Senate passed a measure today that would make convicted lawmakers lose their taxpayer-funded pensions, but it's not retroactive, which means that weasels like Duke Cunningham and Dan Rostenkowski and John Murphy, who are rotting away in jail, are still collecting their pensions, and you and I are footing the bill. The question is, why should they be allowed to do that? Jim writes from Egg Harbor City, New Jersey. Yeah, that's real fair. If a service-connected disabled U.S. veteran somehow screws up and gets sentenced to prison, his VA disability pension stops. Maybe rightly so, maybe not. But when high and mighty lawmakers get tossed in prison, they still receive their pensions. Nothing ever changes, does it? Mark in Eagan, Minnesota, absolutely not. If Americans really understood how obscene their pensions really are, they'd be outraged. As a matter of fact, the pensions should be done away with entirely, and they ought to have to rely on Social Security like the rest of us. Doyle in Littleton, Colorado, the fact that the Congress continues to allow congressmen convicted of a felony to receive benefits shows how corrupt the body has become. It should never have been allowed in the first place. Bob writes from Southfield, Michigan, why shouldn't congressional pensions of convicted felons be applied to reimburse the federal penal system for their room and board? There's a good idea. Priscilla in Moreno Valley, California, I worked 17 years for the government, and guess what I get? $391 a month. And guess what? I didn't commit a crime while I worked for the government. I'd love to get $10,000 of Duke Cunningham's pension. Cunningham collects $64,000 a year. Some of these numbers range as high as $125,000. If you didn't see your email here, you can go to cnn.com/Cafferty file and read some more of them online.
A lot of outrage I sense out there, Jack.
Well, it's absurd, isn't it?
I assume that, yes, the answer is yes.
Good. You got an A in the class.
Let's see what the Congress does this time around. Jack will be back in 1 hour with all of us. We're always here in the Situation Room from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern, back at 7 p.m. Eastern. Let's go to Lou in New York. Lou?
Wolf, good answer. Thank you very much. Tonight, top Republicans rallying to the president's defense over his new plan for Iraq. Can President Bush quell the rebellion in his own party and the opposition of the loyal opposition? We'll have live reports from Capitol Hill and the White House. 2 former U.S. Border Patrol agents convicted of shooting a Mexican drug smuggler who was subsequently given immunity by the U.S. Justice Department. We'll soon find out whether there is justice in this country. We'll have that special report, all of that, all of the day's news, a great deal more. Straight ahead here tonight.
This is Lou Dobbs Tonight. News, debate, and opinion for Friday, January 12th. Live in New York, Lou Dobbs.
Good evening, everybody. President Bush tonight is trying to quash a revolt in his own party about the conduct of the war in Iraq. President Bush has invited top Republican leaders to Camp David for talks. The meeting follows an open rebellion by several leading Republicans over the past few days. Defense Secretary Robert Gates today tried to convince Congress the president's plan will work. The defense secretary said military success in Baghdad could actually lead to quicker U.S. troop withdrawals. Dana Bash reports from Capitol Hill on the sharp divisions within Congress over the president's management of this war. Jamie McIntyre tonight reports from the Pentagon on new details of the president's strategy. And Bill Schneider reports from Washington on new polls that show a big majority of Americans oppose any troop increase in Iraq. We turn first to Dana Bash. Dana?
Well, Lou, the president's revised Iraq plan didn't get the hostile reception today that it did yesterday, but Mr. Bush still has significant problems here because some of his staunchest allies still say they're not ready to support his plan to send more troops to Iraq.
Sure, I'd like to thank you.
On day 2 of Senate hearings on the president's revised Iraq plan, his national security team finally found some defenders.
My prayer is that this new change in strategy is going to work, and I think all Americans should join in that and getting behind our troops.
I support it because I believe it can maximize our chances of success in Iraq.
Unlike a day earlier when the Secretary of State took a bipartisan pounding, the new defense secretary got a decidedly different reception from the Armed Services Committee. Angry questions from Republican skeptics gave way to some leading questions from Republican supporters.
Are we sending additional troops for a lost cause?
Absolutely not, sir.
Politically, no one has as much riding on the president's plan succeeding as White House hopeful John McCain, who's long called for more troops in Iraq.
By surging troops and bringing security to Baghdad and other areas, we can give the Iraqis and their partners the best possible chance to succeed.
McCain baited Pentagon witnesses about the Democrats' plan to start withdrawing troops from Iraq.
If we withdraw and the situation descends into chaos, which
How
certainly
likely is that?
Which I think most people believe is a very real possibility, given the situation over the past year.
What do you believe?
There were skeptics.
Why would this surge, which is actually slightly smaller than previous surges that we have tried, be successful when those surges were not?
And tough questions from senators who say it's a mistake to send additional U.S. troops to Iraq when Iraqis need to show they can help themselves.
If they don't keep their commitments.
I think we have to reevaluate our strategy.
Just saying we're going to reevaluate our strategy is the definition of an open-ended commitment. Again, I mean, we reevaluate strategy all the time.
And Democrat Ted Kennedy used this hearing to make his case that the Iraq mission has changed so much that it's time for the president to come to Congress and get a new authorization before any additional troops or money is spent in Iraq. The defense secretary said that he would pass the message along to the president, but he also said, I think he feels he has the authority he needs to proceed. Lou.
Dana, thank you very much. Dana Bash from Capitol Hill. Defense Secretary Robert Gates today said the first phase of the new U.S. and Iraqi offensive in Baghdad will begin next month. The defense secretary said the United States will know very quickly whether the Iraqi government has failed to meet its commitments or succeeded. But Gates insisted the United States must not withdraw its troops from Iraq should this latest new strategy fail. Jamie McIntyre reports now from the Pentagon. Jamie?
Well, Lou, there's so much pessimism about whether this new strategy will work that one of the main questions on Capitol Hill and in Washington is, what is Plan B? And Defense Secretary Robert Gates today could not tell Congress what Plan B is, but he could say what it's not. It's not the phased withdrawal of U.S. troops as recommended by some Democrats and the Iraq Study Group.
If we talk about the consequences of American failure and defeat in Iraq, then saying if you don't do this, we'll leave, and we'll leave now, does not strike me as being in the national interest of the United States.
Meanwhile, Plan A, if you can call it that, doesn't really get into full gear until next month, when we'll see if the first Iraqi troops arrive in Baghdad as promised. Now, Secretary Gates said he's going to be taking a look at some key indicators to judge very early on if the Iraqis are living up to their commitments. He named 3 benchmarks that they have to meet. First of all, do the Iraqi troops show up? Last time 6 brigades were promised, only 2 showed up. This time the Iraqis are supposed to supply 3 brigades. Also, is there no political interference? Are people arrested, able to get out by simply making a phone call? That's got to stop. And also, do the troops, both U.S. and Iraqi, have access to all of Baghdad? The U.S. plan is to flow 1 brigade of troops into Iraq a month for the next 5 months. And they say if there's success, if it works out as well as they'd hope, or perhaps better than they hope, they might not even have to send all those troops in. And if it works, they could withdraw some troops by the end of the year. But again, at this point, that looks like a very optimistic scenario. Lou?
It was, I must say, at least within all of the cacophony of discussion about surge and phase redeployment, it was remarkable to hear the Defense Secretary talk about the national interest, 2 words that have not escaped the lips of either the Republicans or Democrats debating this issue on Capitol Hill to this point.
Well, basically what he's saying there is that he believes the stakes in Iraq are so high that the U.S. can't afford to give up, even if this latest strategy doesn't work.
Yeah, it's the national interest that should be debated here, it seems to me, before we worry about the language of the weak, the new lexicon that's invented to spin and to obfuscate more often than to communicate, in my opinion. Jamie, thank you very much. Jamie McIntyre from the Pentagon. Insurgents in Iraq have killed another of our troops. The soldier was killed by enemy small arms fire in the town of Baquba, northeast of Baghdad. 13 of our troops killed so far this month in Iraq. 3,017 of our troops since the beginning of the war. 22,834 of our troops wounded. A new opinion poll shows President Bush has failed to convince the American people so far to support a troop increase in Iraq. The CNN Opinion Research Corporation poll shows voters opposing the president's new strategy by a margin of nearly 2-1. Bill Schneider reports from Washington.
President Bush went on the road this week to promote what he calls his new way forward in Iraq.
It is clear that we need to change our strategy in Iraq.
Did the president succeed in changing people's minds? Apparently not. According to a CNN poll by the Opinion Research Corporation, last month, the president's job approval rating was 36%. After the speech, 35%. No real change. Before the speech, 2/3 of Americans opposed the war in Iraq. After the speech, 2/3 of Americans opposed the war in Iraq. Before the speech, 27% of Americans believed a U.S. victory in Iraq was likely. After the speech, 27% believe a U.S. victory is likely. It's like nothing happened. Something did happen, of course.
So I've committed more than 20,000 additional American troops to Iraq.
And the public still doesn't like it. Of the 66% who oppose sending more troops, Democrats are virtually united in their opposition. And the president's base? 2/3 of Republicans still support President Bush on Iraq. Why did Mr. Bush fail to change many minds? Because most people's minds are already made up about Iraq. And the president's new strategy didn't sound all that new. And because its success depends less on what we do than on what they do.
The government of Iraq must exhibit the will necessary to succeed.
Most Americans don't have much confidence in the Iraqi government. Maybe the speech didn't work because only 43% of Americans watched it. But even among those who did watch it, about a quarter said it made them more likely to support the president's policies, a quarter said less likely, and nearly half said the speech made no difference at all. The president did not come out ahead on this sales job. Lou?
Sales job, this speech. Bill Schneider, that town in which you are speaking from tonight, as I mentioned with Jamie McIntyre at the Pentagon, to watch the United States Congress and this president talking in such granular terms about what is a critically important issue, that is the national interest. For this president not to speak about the sacrifice and the expenditure that has occurred in Iraq and not put it into terms of the national interest and why that national interest is better served by any number of strategies and choices is peculiar at best. And for the Congress to talk about it in political terms and rather than in the terms of the national interest so that there can be a meaningful national dialogue on this very important issue with our troops in harm's way is almost unthinkable.
It is, and that's why Americans are very reluctant to give their support. They see this as a very remote civil war. At first they supported it because it seemed as if that American security was at stake. But now they're very dubious about that. They see this as a civil war between Sunnis and Shiites. They see this as having a political objective, a settlement of a civil war, and they wonder exactly what is the United States' national interest in that conflict.
And the question remains, why then is not the United States Congress and this president discussing the issue in those terms? And I know it's not a question you can answer here tonight, but it's one that one hopes that both parties, the Congress and the president, will respond to in the coming days and weeks. Thank you very much. Bill Schneider. President Bush this weekend expected to discuss his new strategy for Iraq with congressional Republican leaders. President Bush invited top Republicans to join him at Camp David. They're likely to talk about the rebellion by some of their party mates over the president's plans. Suzanne Malveaux has the story for us from the White House tonight. Suzanne?
Well, Lou, you're absolutely right. This really is an all-out charm offensive by the White House. President Bush at Camp David inviting the congressional leadership, Republicans and their wives, for what they're calling a social occasion. But let's not kid ourselves, of course. They are trying to win support for this Iraq plan. We are also going to see the president and the vice president for the next couple of days doing television network interviews. We expect the president next week to travel as well to try to deliver this directly to the American people. And Lou, I've spoken to senior White House aides, and they all say that, look, the president is under no delusion here that he has got a big job ahead when it comes to selling this, that this is going to be a very hard sell. But what they're trying to do is simply buy time. They figure that in a couple of months they'll have some benchmarks, milestones to actually evaluate whether or not the Iraqis are coming through. Lou?
Wouldn't it be nice to hear something about success and victory rather than benchmarks as we go forward here? Thank you very much. Suzanne Malveaux from the White House. A reminder that al-Qaeda is not the only terrorist threat facing this country. Suspected left-wing terrorists today fired a rocket-propelled grenade at the U.S. Embassy in Athens, Greece. No one wounded in the attack. The only visible sign of damage, in fact, to the building was a broken window. U.S. officials there said the attack appeared to be the work of what they called locally grown leftists. Still ahead, new developments tonight in the case of two former Border Patrol agents about to go to prison. A case that has been called an outrageous miscarriage of justice. We'll have that report and lies and disinformation as the pro-illegal alien lobby steps up its campaign against a new fence along our southern border with Mexico. We'll have that story and new evidence that e-voting machines still pose a serious threat to our democracy, a risk that many local election officials have ignored. We'll have that special report, a great deal more, straight ahead.
Way back then, we had the horse and carriage.
There was no television then. People listen to the radio.
Get the clothes out, wash them on the washboard.
And then the calculators got smaller and smaller.
45 would drop and it would play.
If you held the rabbit ears in exactly the right position.
I used to have to parallel park myself.
It all began with a big dream in a small town. Sam Walton's dream.
Treat the customers like they're your family.
You treat customers with respect.
Go above and beyond. A smile and a hello doesn't cost anything.
It's been said that when Walmart comes to town, it's like getting a nice pay raise.
Because our low prices save the average working family $2,300 a year.
Which buys a lot of things, and a whole bunch of freedom. But Sam Walton's vision and our commitment today is much bigger than that. Last year alone, Walmart created thousands of new American jobs, many in areas where they're needed most. And every associate can qualify for health insurance for less than $1 a day.
Well, one thing that Sam believed in was that you should give back to the communities.
And this year, once again, neighborhood Walmart stores will be one of the largest corporate contributors to local charities in America.
Savings to customers.
Commitment to the community.
Opportunities for associates. Those are the values that guide us.
Sam's Dream. Your neighborhood Walmart.
Money should be fat. It should be big. At HSBCDirect.com, we've created a way to make money into bigger money. HSBCDirect.com offers an online savings account with a 5.05% annual percentage yield. That's 8 times the national average. Let your money grow big at HSBC. Brought to you by HSBC, the world's local bank. Member FDIC. Discover more at HSBCDirect.com.
Go with Dr. Sanjay Gupta on his quest around the country. What you can do today to join the Fit Nation. Every Saturday and Sunday morning, 8:30 Eastern on House Call. CNN Fit Nation is sponsored by AstraZeneca.
Former Border Patrol agents Ignacio Ramos and Jose Campion are still awaiting word tonight on their request to remain free on bond, appealing their 11 and 12-year sentences for shooting a Mexican drug smuggler at the border. The drug smuggler was given immunity by the Justice Department to testify against those agents. Casey Wyan now has the latest on the agents who are scheduled to begin serving their sentences next Wednesday. Casey?
Lou, family members, attorneys, and the agents themselves all expected a ruling today. Federal Judge Kathleen Cardone is considering whether to allow the former Border Patrol agents Jose Campion and Ignacio Ramos to remain free on bond while their convictions on assault with a deadly weapon, civil rights violations, and other charges are appealed. As we've reported and as you mentioned, the Mexican drug smuggler who was wounded in the incident was given immunity from prosecution by the federal government, sparking outrage from border security activists. Now, the judge has already determined that the agents are not a danger to the community and not a flight risk. That's why she allowed them to remain free since their conviction in October. But in deciding whether they can stay free pending their coming appeal, she may also consider the substance of that appeal and its chances of success. Also at issue, a law that anyone convicted of a federal gun crime must go to prison unless there are exceptional circumstances. Lawyers for the agents say the fact that dozens of U.S. congressmen and hundreds of thousands of American citizens have signed petitions demanding a presidential pardon for the agents are clearly exceptional. Now, if Judge Cardone denies the motion, agents Ramos and Compean must report to prison to begin their 11 and 12-year sentences on Wednesday. And Lou, I just got off the phone with former Border Patrol agent Ignacio Ramos, and he says he understands that Judge Kathleen Cardone's offices have received lots of phone calls from supporters of the agents, and the agents very much appreciate that support. But he also says he hears that some of those phone calls have been threatening. And we understand that the U.S. Marshals Service is actually involved in looking into some of those threatening phone calls. So the agents ask that anyone calling in their support please refrain from any type of threatening behavior, obviously not helpful to their cause, Lou.
All right. Threatening, not helpful to anyone's cause, and certainly the Marshal's Office should deal straightforwardly with those people who would do such a thing. Let's turn to a couple of things. One, because as we talk about this drug smuggler, that was given immunity by Johnny Sutton's attorney, the Attorney General, his office. He subsequently committed a crime, did he not, after being given immunity?
He sure did. Our sources tell us that this drug smuggler was caught smuggling an even bigger load, somewhere near 1,000 pounds of marijuana, subsequent to this first load that agents Ramos and Compean uncovered, and he was granted immunity for that offense as well. He's also suing the U.S. government for $5 million.
And at the same time, at least 3 jurors feel that they were coerced into their verdicts.
Absolutely. There was a filing of a claim for jury misconduct before the convictions were handed down. That claim was denied. The basic substance of that was that these jurors claimed that the jury foreman said that that a hung jury would be unacceptable to this judge and that they had to reach some sort of a verdict. These jurors had questions. They didn't want to convict, but they felt that they had to, and they now feel that they did the wrong thing, Lou.
And to put it exactly where we are, more than 50 U.S. congressmen have written the President, Attorney General Alberto Gonzales, without response from those gentlemen. Most of those petitioning congressmen are Republicans, the Republican executive branch not responding at all. Tony Snow, the White House press secretary, basically scoffing at the idea of a pardon for these gentlemen. I happen to agree with him on one level. I think what should happen here, Casey, is there should be a full investigation of the U.S. Attorney's Office. There should be a full investigation of this case, a full investigation of the court proceedings in that federal court, and meanwhile, they should be holding in suspension any action against these 2 agents. Casey, thank you very much. Casey Wine, reporting on one of the most troubling cases in the country right now. If you would like to voice your support for those agents, Ramos and Compean, you can email the White House directly at comments@whitehouse.gov or the Attorney General himself at askdoj.gov. If you prefer to call, you can reach the White House at 202-456-1111. The Attorney General's office, 202-514-2001. And all of this information and a direct route for your comments and suggestions to our government can always be found at our website, Dobbs.com. Advocates are building a fence along our border with Mexico tonight, taking issue with reports over the projected cost of that project. One report put the cost of that fence at an astonishing $49 billion. Congressman Stephen King and Duncan Hunter, strong advocates of the fence, say the number is flat out wrong, and they want to, at least this once, put the record straight. Bill Tucker reports.
$49 billion for a fence along the southern border is, quote, phony analysis, in the opinion of the chief architect of the border fence bill.
The Mission Impossible crowd is trying to subvert the will of the American people.
As evidence that estimates from the Congressional Research Service is flawed, Congressman Hunter quoted from 3 bids which have already been received to build the authorized fence. The bids put the cost at approximately $2 billion. The report also plays with the numbers and calculates the cost of building and maintenance over 25 years.
To argue that the maintenance of this could cost $49 billion over 25 years is to argue that you would rebuild this twice a year, every year for 25 years. And it's ridiculous.
25-year cost estimates are simply not credible. And the problem with
the Congressional Research Service is that they will provide estimates based on congressional requests.
Congressman Hunter and Congressman King pointed out a portion of the fence already exists in San Diego at a cost of $3 million a mile to build and is successful at stemming the flow of illegal aliens and drugs across the border, a fact the CRS report concedes. As for cost, the cost of incarcerating the 250,000 criminal illegal aliens now in our jail is greater than $3 billion a year.
Save enough money just from incarceration to pay for the fence every single year.
The Congressional Budget Office estimated last year that it would cost significantly less than $3 billion to build the fence. And as Congressman Hunter and Congressman King, who has a background in construction, by the way, kept repeating over and over and over again in this news conference, Lou, it's just a fence.
Well, it's obviously not just a fence. It is far more than that, symbolically as well, an effective deterrent, most people think, against illegal immigration and those who would cross the border with the intent to harm us. But whatever it is, it would be the principal mainstay against illegal immigration and unlawful entry into this country, whether by terrorists or illegal immigrants. But why? Who's the outfit who did the estimate?
The Congressional Research Service.
And who requested it?
We don't know.
What do you mean we don't know?
That's a secret. Secret? It's a secret. They exist to serve the request of members of Congress.
And secret?
Yes, they don't tell us who requested it. The only way we can actually get a hint at who might have requested it is the requesting Congress member can then post the report. The first story on this $49 billion estimate came out in San Francisco. So somebody leaked the number to the San Francisco Chronicle, as near as I can tell, which we can connect the dots.
Let's push this, because this government, I mean, now we can't get from this White House who is visiting whom in the White House. It is, after all, the people's house, and these folks are just renters who are there right now. We can't find out who is testifying in conference on task forces like the Energy Task Force, and we can't find out who in Congress is requesting this, a report that this, by the way, the Congressional Research Office ought to be ashamed of. Have they explained why it is so upside down and wildly exaggerated?
No.
But let's make sure we get that.
But the person making the request can come forward and say, I'm the one who made the request.
Well, let's put it this way. If that person fails to do so between now and, let's say, Tuesday, they're a yellow belly, I mean, and a distortion, just a propagandist puke. I mean, it's an absurdity. At what point are the American people going to say, enough of a government run like this? Whether it's in the United States Congress, whether it is in the executive branch. This is unconscionable. Bill Tucker, thank you, in part, for raising my temper. I'm not so appreciative, but thank you. Up next, are we already seeing signs of business as usual in this new Congress? Republicans say they're skeptical about an exemption to the minimum wage law. Yep, there is an exception and exemption. We'll have that special report and a new controversy over the nation's largest maker of e-voting machines. They don't meet federal standards. Some people said they did. They lied. We'll have the report. A political power struggle being played out in the streets of a South American city. It is turning deadly. We'll have that report and a great deal more straight ahead. Stay with
us. Tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern, Lance Armstrong. He's taking his fight for cancer research to Capitol Hill. Will Congress deliver? He joins us tonight in The Situation Room.
Tonight, intolerance in America. What's just below the surface? Paula Zahn brings everything out in the open. Tonight, 8 Eastern.
Think your pets are safe from fleas and ticks in winter? Think again. To protect against skin irritation and disease, they need flea, tick, and heartworm medication year-round. Plus supplements like Super Joint Enhancer for cold weather joint pain. Fortunately, they cost a lot less at 1-800-PET-MED. And they're delivered free right to your door with a 100% guarantee. I trust 1-800-PET-MED for fast service, free shipping, and big savings. Call now or order online.
This month, stay in and tune in to watch what's on Comcast. Everyone needs more space. DIY Network can help you find it with the space you already have. Watch Wasted Space, Wednesdays at 9 p.m. on the DIY Network, Comcast Channel 204. Do more with your time and money. Watch I Want That, What You Get for Your Money, and American Shopper. Saturdays and Sundays till noon on Fine Living, Comcast Channel 184. All the shows you watch are on Comcast.
When the weather is the news, trust CNN. It's essential.
Here's what people are saying about Osteobiflex, the #1 doctor-recommended joint care brand.
I'm 77 years old, and I work as a waitress, and if it weren't for Osteobiflex, I just couldn't do it.
My doctor recommended I take Osteobiflex, and it's great. It really works for me.
I'm amazed at the results I've seen from my patients taking Osteobiflex. It works by helping to lubricate the joint, and it helps to maintain the cartilage.
Osteobiflex has given me mobility. I wasn't getting that crunching, grinding sound in my joints.
Not only did it stop the discomfort and the stiffness, but it gave me full mobility again.
The glucosamine and chondroitin, as found in Osteobiflex, actually lubricates and cushions your joints to provide free movement, mobility, and comfort.
Osteobiflex has given me a whole new life.
For a $3 off coupon and more information on Osteobiflex, go to osteobiflex.com right now. Osteobiflex is available wherever quality vitamins and supplements are sold.
The critics are saying The Painted Veil has the power and intimacy of a timeless love story. Let it sweep you away. Naomi Watts, Edward Norton, The Painted Veil. Rated PG-13, now playing.
Troubling new questions about electronic voting machines used in our midterm elections. New tests now show one of the systems used didn't meet federal standards at all. But that didn't stop some states from using those machines anyway. Kitty Pilgrim reports.
New York State didn't use electronic voting in the November election. The state chose to stay with decades-old lever machines until electronic voting was proven tamper-proof and glitch-free. New York State is glad they didn't use electronic voting. New York State Election Commission co-chair Doug Kellner says ES&S, one of the largest electronic voting machine companies in the country, used software in other states that didn't meet federal standards, even though it was stamped with federal certification codes.
They admitted that it doesn't comply, but they said, look, we already got certification previously for this very same product. The rules have not changed since we got certification, therefore you shouldn't insist on compliance with that rule.
ES&S brushed aside the concerns in a letter to New York election officials, saying federal standards were an arbitrary guideline. ES&S also admitted to election officials that other states used the software anyway. Last November, 25 states used ES&S machines that use this software.
Yes, it's a problem. How big a problem it is, and how much it affects the possible administration of an election is unknown, because all of the details are considered a trade secret and not available to the public, and in large measure not available to many election officials.
The agency that did the federal certification today admitted they didn't know anything about the problem. ES&S is not required to say which private lab did their testing, so New York State can't get any real information on why this equipment doesn't meet federal standards. Now, Senator Feinstein wants to hold hearings on the entire testing process later this month. The Election Assistance Commission told us today they're going to begin a process of recertifying everything. ES&S today still defended the software, saying those are stylistic and non-substantive differences from the federal standards, but they say they made the modifications in the code and will begin testing it anyway.
And who will be testing it?
ES&S, of course, yes.
Exactly. This is not funny.
It's really disturbing.
It's just hard to imagine where this government is headed. It's unbelievable. Thank you very much, Kitty Pilgrim. Turning to overseas news, more violent clashes today in one of Bolivia's major cities. Supporters of Bolivia's anti-American president took to the streets in the regional capital of Cochabamba to protest calls for more autonomy from regional governors. 2 people killed, at least 130 injured in the violence. Federal troops sent in to restore order. Those protests started a month ago, part of a power struggle between the regional governors and President Evo Morales. Morales, a popular figure in Cochabamba, where he still heads the region's Cocoa Growers Association. Time now for some of your thoughts. Maryland and Oklahoma wrote in to say, if the President of the United States and a majority of the Congress of the United States of America wanted to stop illegal immigration, it would be stopped. Obviously, their loyalties don't lie with the United States of America. And Wendell in Tennessee said, if we're going to have a border and plan to have it patrolled, how can we prosecute the Border Patrol agents for doing what they were hired to do, protect our borders? The Border Patrol agents need to be pardoned immediately. And Edie in Minnesota said, I am Edie. I am 13 years old. By watching Lou Dobbs, I see that if I go into the drug smuggling business, I will have more rights than I would if I worked on the Border Patrol. What kind of message is that to me? Email us at loudobbs.com. We'll have more of your thoughts coming up here later. And each of you whose email is read here receives a copy of my book, War on the Middle Class. Up next, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi promised to end the culture of corruption on Capitol Hill. Now she's facing Republican charges that she reneged on the promise. We'll have that report. And several key Republicans have rebelled openly against the president over his plan to send more troops to Iraq. How widespread is the revolt? Where is the support? Three of the country's best political analysts join me. And a new blast of freezing weather causing chaos in the midsection of this nation. Forecasters say a huge ice storm is on the way east. We'll have that and a great deal more. Stay with us.
Let me tell you about a very important phone call I made. When I got my Medicare card, I realized I needed an AARP Medicare Supplement insurance card too.
One simple call gave me the chance to talk with a personal health insurance advisor
Who answered all my questions about Medicare Supplement plans.
If you're already on or eligible for Medicare, call now to find out how an AARP Medicare Supplement insurance plan, insured by United Healthcare Insurance Company, helps you pay some of the 20% of your medical expenses not covered by Medicare Part B. That can save you thousands of dollars. These are the only Medicare Supplement insurance plans exclusively endorsed by AARP, a name you trust. When you call now, we'll send you this free information kit, plus this free guide to understanding Medicare.
I can keep my own doctor and choose my own hospital.
and I don't need a referral to see a specialist.
Call 1-800-673-4168 now. A personal health insurance advisor is waiting.
Larry King tomorrow. Country star Wynonna Judd.
Man, I get goosebumps.
CSI's Gary Sinise.
It wasn't about me. It was about them.
Unforgettable stories of courage and caring inside the Fisher House for Wounded Troops. Larry King, tomorrow 9 Eastern, only on CNN.
Are you struggling with stress, fatigue, and weight-related problems? Best-selling author Dr. Don Colbert unveils a revolutionary new approach to health and happiness in his new book, The 7 Pillars of Health. Dr. Colbert reveals astounding insights that'll help you feel better, look younger, increase your energy, and live a longer, healthier life.
This message may save your life or a loved one's life.
In just 50 days, you can experience the breakthrough you've always dreamed of. The 7 Pillars of Health, available wherever books are sold.
This winter, Court TV's beat is on the beach.
Go, go, go!
And nothing's too hot to handle. Beach Patrol San Diego.
I'm the real David Hasselhoff.
An all-new season, Mondays at 8. Only on Court TV.
A blast of Arctic cold moving across the nation has already claimed 2 lives. Officials fear it could paralyze the nation's midsection. It's been snowing in Colorado for the 4th time in a month. Temperatures are plunging from Nevada to Minnesota, and the defreeze could last through the weekend. In Oklahoma, the Arctic chill is expected to leave much of that state coated in ice. Hazardous road conditions have already caused 2 deadly accidents there. Some schools closed early. The weather's disrupted air travel as well. A follow-up to a story we brought you last night. The House of Representatives today passed a prescription drug bill that could save millions in taxpayer dollars. It's unlikely, however, to become law. The House measure requires the government to negotiate with drug companies to lower medicine prices for Medicare patients. The Senate expected to take a much longer look at the issue. President Bush has promised to veto, even though this is considered to be, although part of the success of the Democratic initiative for new legislation in the House, a watered-down version, deferring in large measure to the pharmaceutical lobby. The Senate voted today to strip pensions from members of Congress convicted of white-collar crimes. The vote, 87-0. Senator John Kerry says he was inspired to write the measure in part by former Congressman Randy Duke Cunningham, who's serving 8 years in prison for taking millions of dollars in bribes from military contractors. The measure isn't retroactive, so Cunningham will still be able to collect his pension, which could be as much as $64,000 a year. The Democrats have been making good on their promise for quick action since they were sworn in last week. They have made ethics rules changes, limiting gifts to lawmakers and restricting their travel on private jets, and they've raised the nation's minimum wage for the first time in a decade. However, it appears that not all of the old habits have escaped this new Congress. An exemption to the minimum wage law that at first escaped attention. It looked as though it were an absolutely clean bill. Today was the focus of the Republicans. As it turns out, the beneficiary of that exemption is a company based in the home district of Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi. Lisa Sylvester reports.
The bill is passed.
The House passed legislation that would give pay raises to the poorest Americans. It would apply to the 50 states, the U.S. territories, Guam, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and the Northern Marianas, but not the U.S. territory American Samoa. That prompted Republican Patrick McHenry to ask facetiously if American Samoa would also be exempt from the stem cell research bill, much to the chagrin of Democrat Barney Frank.
Would it be appropriate to offer an amendment at this time exempting American Samoa, just as it was from the minimum wage bill?
The gentleman will subside.
So the chair is saying that I may not offer an amendment exempting American Samoa from this legislation?
The gentleman is making a speech and will suspend. The chair is not saying anything.
If the chair will let me finish my question.
The gentleman will suspend.
Republicans say it's a little fishy that the new minimum wage standards apply to the other territories, but not American Samoa.
American Samoa's largest employer is Starkist Tuna, which is owned by Del Monte Corporation, which is headquartered nowhere else but Nancy Pelosi's San Francisco district.
Starkist says it employs nearly 75% of the islanders. The U.S. minimum wage has never applied there. Instead, it's set by Labor Department committees. Pelosi insists she was not carving out an exemption.
I don't think it is okay. I've asked the Energy and this Education Works Labor Committee as to go forward with the legislation to make sure that all of the territories have to comply with the U.S. law on the minimum wage.
Pelosi says the intent was the new wage floor would apply to the entire United States and territories. Republicans call that backpedaling.
Now, the average wage in American Samoa is $3.50 an hour. The House Education and Labor Committee will review the wages being paid there and investigate why they have been historically lower than in other U.S. territories. By the way, Lou Del Monte has not contributed to Pelosi's campaign and, in fact, has given more to Republicans. Lou?
Well, then there should be absolutely no question. For the good of the people of American Samoa, our fellow citizens there, it seems it's time for some catch-up to be undertaken here.
There is agreement there, at least with Republicans and Democrats on this one. We'll see if they follow through now, Lou.
Well, it's nice to see the Republicans also behind the minimum wage, which they resisted through 12 years in their control of Congress. It's unfortunate that expression of confidence in the minimum wage had to come as they brought the Speaker of the House to heel on the issue. Lisa, thank you very much. Lisa Sylvester from Washington. That brings us to the subject of our poll tonight. Are you surprised that just days after passing an ethics reform bill, the Democratic leader exempted a company in our home state from complying with a minimum wage bill? Yes or no? Cast your vote at BlueDobbs.com. We'll have the results here later in the broadcast. And a reminder to us all why we watch everything very carefully in Washington, D.C. Up next, President Bush tries to end a rebellion in his own party. How isolated is he? Is he isolated? Three of the nation's top political analysts join us. And outrage tonight over highly personal remarks by Senator Barbara Boxer about Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice. We'll have that story, a great deal more, still ahead here. Stay with us.
The doctor said to me, Peggy, you don't understand. Pancreatic cancer is inoperable and incurable. And he says, well, Peggy, you've got 2 months to live. It was like he was telling me, go to the store. There was no compassion. You know, it was heartbreaking. My life was an hourglass. I was home, laying on the couch, just dying. My sister Pam called the Cancer Treatment Centers of America. When I got there, I knew that I was going to be cared for. I met with the doctor after the tests were done and said, how long do I have? And he looked at me and he said, Peggy, we did a lot of tests on you. And I never saw one thing stamped on the bottom of your foot that said you were going to die in 2 months. You have no expiration date. And I thought, wow,
Cancer Treatment Centers of America is unlike any other cancer hospital, full of hope, committed to your fight. We use every weapon: surgery, chemotherapy, radiation, nutrition, spiritual support, and mind-body medicine. We surround you with a real team, working together, all under one roof.
Each time I went back to the Cancer Treatment Centers of America, I responded better. My tumors were shrinking. Came back in September again, and they still couldn't see anything. I said, "You're kidding me." We'll see how it goes. We'll keep testing, but we can't see the tumors anymore.
Please call the number on your screen to speak with an oncology information specialist and receive a life-changing information kit and DVD packed with valuable information. Call now and learn about treatment options you may not even know exist.
It's really unbelievable how one doctor can tell me I have 2 months to live, and then I go to the Cancer Treatment Centers of America and they save my life. Hope is a mainstay. Hope is everything.
Don't give up. Your fight is our fight. Call Cancer Treatment Centers of America today.
Outrage tonight over Democratic Senator Barbara Boxer's remarks to Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice during her testimony yesterday. Senator Boxer, during her questioning on the administration's Iraq policy, said the Secretary of State had no children to lose overseas, saying, quote, "You're not going to pay a particular price," said the senator. Secretary Rice did not respond at the time, but today Rice said she thought women had come farther than that. Joining me now, three of the best political minds in this country: Republican strategist Ed Rollins, Michael Goodwin, columnist, New York Daily News, Democratic strategist Robert Zimmerman. Thank you all for being here. What is Senator Boxer thinking?
Good evening, Lou. Look, obviously...
Let's move ahead. I don't want any pleasantries here.
Okay, let's get right down to business. Obviously, it was a terrible statement. It was contemptuous. But it also doesn't express who Barbara Boxer is.
And contemptible.
I actually think it does express who Barbara Boxer is. I mean, she was incredibly personal during Condoleezza Rice's confirmation hearings. She's always been that way. It was a cheap shot.
She challenged Condoleezza Rice over her failure as national security advisor, and rightly so. I don't object to her.
It was very personal at the time.
You got to remember the history here. Condoleezza Rice was who Republicans talked about running against Boxer, and probably would have been a very credible candidate a couple of times. And so there's a long history there.
Well, sadly, Condoleezza Rice's record as a national security advisor in Iraq reconstruction buried her political ambitions.
Well, we can debate that.
Did I ask you about Barbara Boxer?
I'm trying to talk, trying to keep focused, Lou.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about Nancy Pelosi in American Samoa. Can you line those up for us on the Mercator?
It's great when the Democrats are in the majority. I feel so significant now on the panel.
You're becoming increasingly so.
You know, the bottom line is, obviously, it was a mistake that American territories were not included in the minimum wage.
Whose mistake was it?
The Democratic majority, but now they're correcting it through the Education and Labor Committee. So we're going to make sure that American territories are covered.
Well,
with the minimum wage.
But aren't you cheered by the fact that the Republican minority is so concerned about the minimum wage now after denying it for a decade, that they would insist upon it for American support? Now, that's the kind of attention to middle-class values I would hope that both political parties will embrace.
We will slowly but surely get into an opposition party, and the quicker we do that, the better we will be. And those are the kinds of things you do when you scrutinize bills carefully and you basically charge forward.
The idea that this war in Iraq is now the subject of a surge, phased redeployment debate, rather than a debate and a national dialogue led by the president and the leadership, the Democratic leadership of both houses, on the issue of our national interest and how that national interest is served in the Middle East and specifically in Iraq, is astonishing to me.
Well, the president's speech the other night was extremely weak. We had a 2-month build-up. He'd have been better not to have given that speech. He would have been better just to basically move forward and say, here's what I'm doing today, out of the press room. I think there was such a build-up that something was going to be so different, and I don't think there's a whole lot different. And I think going out to the country and trying to sell it, it's sort of the campaign mode they've been in for the last 4 years, and it's failed on every front. And I think it's a good way to go.
I thought Condoleezza Rice before Congress did the best possible job she could, and it wasn't nearly good enough. It's a terrible idea, and I think fundamentally it does.
Secretary Rice looked to me, for all the world, like she'd rather been anywhere else in the world.
That's right. Yeah, but I think the problem with the plan is it has no logic. When you say Maliki cannot act, he doesn't have the capacity, which is her defense, but then to say 21,000 more Americans will make the difference, but the Americans are not not cracking down on sectarian violence. That's the Iraqi army's job, and it's not able to do it.
Michael Goodwin, you were among the first to use the expression World War III in talking about the war in Iraq. This is not how you either conduct World War III, nor is it the way in which you debate it, is it? I mean, the idea that there is not a clear, articulated statement from this White House on the national interest in the Middle East and Iraq, nor from the Democrats, the leadership of both houses, on their views of the national interest and what flows from those two perspectives as to what our decisions should be in Iraq and in the Middle East.
Well, we're really in some ways in the short strokes here. It's hand-to-hand combat in Washington now, and I think you're right. We're forgetting the larger picture. We see it in Somalia. We see it throughout the Mideast. We see it in parts of Europe. We see it in Asia. So there is a large Islamic fundamentalist terror arc that's around most of the globe. And if we don't begin to focus on it in a wholesale manner, we are going to find ourselves on the defensive for the next 30 years.
What's most frustrating to me is that you are seeing the beginnings in Congress of Republican senators joining with Democrats in terms of challenging this administration's foreign policy. The great frustration is the Senate Republican leader is now, and it's pathetic to watch him now try to employ filibuster to block a debate about our Iraq policy and where to go from here. The real travesty behind President Bush's speech is the fact that there was nothing new in it. It was a rehash of past failed strategies, and as Senator Levin pointed out in your show, this administration still is not prepared to demand that the Prime Minister of Iraq hold the Iraqi be held accountable for not including the Sunnis in oil settlement and not bring about a political settlement.
We're going to be right back with our distinguished political analysts here in just one moment. We'll have much more for you still ahead. Stay with us.
Tonight on Anderson Cooper 360, Lance Armstrong's War, the 360 interview, plus Oprah Winfrey and her crusade to save Africa one person at a time. CNN tonight, 10 Eastern.
Dick Hanna and the giant Vancouver Automall all here in this one Park One CMall location. Where else is this kind of car buying excitement? Whoa, everyone, work with me here. Save all that energy for the test drive. 26 acres of new and certified pre-owned cars, trucks, vans, SUVs, all in one place. Dick Hanna makes it real easy to buy with Carfax history reports on every pre-owned vehicle. From Portland, just a bridge away. The giant Vancouver Automall, Dick Hanna, family owned since 1949, while our goal is to simply sell for less.
Only once a year, 30 elite superstars compete in one match.
This is gonna be a rumble like no other.
The Royal Rumble. They compete for glory. They compete for victory. They compete for a championship match at WrestleMania. This is where careers are determined and fates decided. A once-in-a-lifetime opportunity at an event that comes only once a year. The 30-man over-the-top rope Royal Rumble. Live Sunday, January 28th on Events in Demand pay-per-view.
Does back pain limit your motion?
Get relief with Icy Hot Pro Therapy, powered by Hot Packs. Up to 8 hours of muscle-relaxing, pain-relieving heat that goes where you go. Icy Hot Pro Therapy.
Strong support plus powerful relief.
Introducing softness that looks and feels healthier. Introducing Gold Bond Ultimate Softening Lotion. It hydrates skin cells with essential moisture. New Gold Bond Ultimate Softening for softer, smoother, healthier skin every day from head to toe.
It's time to start.
Ready, go. See what a Blue Man does to a rock show. How to be a megastar tour. Blue Man Group hits the stage with their electrifying arena rock show.
Rock concert movement #1.
Comcast welcomes Blue Man Group live.
Here are your instructions.
Saturday, February 3rd, Memorial Coliseum. Tickets on sale now through ComcastTix.com. Don't miss Blue Man Group for one night only.
CNN Special Investigations Unit. Series premiere CNN Saturday, January 20th.
Up at the top of the hour, Situation Room with Wolf Blitzer. Wolf?
Thanks very much, Lou. We're following a major development tonight in the Duke University lacrosse sexual assault case. We're going to have the new information. That's coming up also. A mysterious incident in Iraq fueling a growing controversy over U.S. intentions toward Iran. Is it a turning point in the standoff between Washington and Tehran? And Hillary Clinton is on her way right now to Iraq, even as she weighs a run for the presidency. We're going to have details of her trip and its possible impact. Plus this, cycling champion Lance Armstrong pays a visit to the Situation Room. We're going to show you what he wants from the U.S. government and why he's growing increasingly impatient. My one-on-one interview with Lance Armstrong, that's coming up, Lou, right at the top of the hour.
Wolf, thank you very much. We're back with our panel, and let me ask you this. This president facing the issues in Iraq. The other night, for all the world, he looked as uncomfortable with that speech. He said he shouldn't have even bothered with it. But is there someone within the Republican Party and within the administration who can talk about proportionality, perspective here, and writing the direction for this administration?
Obviously, there's not. I mean, they've been working on this for months and months, and if that's the best they can do, it's still a speech that didn't have clarity. There's still not a strategy. If I had a young son going off to war, which I don't, I would not be very comfortable to know that there's a new strategy. And I think to a certain extent, that's what the country's waiting for. The country's waiting for you to say, okay, here's where we're going to be different than we were a year ago. Here's what we're going to do today. There's 300,000 Iraqi troops. We're going to get them out in front. We're going to make them work. We're going to make them be a part of this process. I haven't heard any of that.
Michael, the idea that we can see the Senate Minority Leader say that he would filibuster a congressional vote on a resolution on Iraq and the troop strategy. What's your reaction to that?
Well, look, I think the Bush is so quickly becoming isolated, as you reported earlier, and I think it's a downhill thing for him now. There's almost no way he can reverse his own popularity and therefore his own relevance to the debate. There was a fascinating example in today's Wall Street Journal op-ed page. There's an op-ed co-authored by Rudy Giuliani and Newt Gingrich about Iraq. It did not mention George Bush by name.
Right.
Now, these are two presidential candidates probably who are running away from George Bush. The whole party
Did you
is
say
running.
probably?
Yeah, both of them, right. Gingrich, I think, is a little bit less certain than Giuliani.
With the exception of Jeb Bush.
I don't know whether they're both running, but they're both definitely running away from George W.
That's
Bush.
right.
With the exception of Jeb Bush, every Republican is running away from George Bush. We saw in the last campaign most Republican candidates did. But that's not the point. I don't think you can ever discount the relevancy of the president when, in fact, his escalation strategy is in his role as commander-in-chief is very hard to stop.
Why is it so easy for you to call his surge strategy escalation? By the way, I agree with that straightforward language, but so difficult to take the Democratic language, phased troop redeployment, and not use the word withdrawal.
Because, in fact, it's not withdrawing our troops. It is, in fact, putting our troops in strategic locations around the area to be there to support the Iraqi army. What concerns me is the fact that this administration refuses consistently to try to approach a political solution and instead tries to win this militarily. And every expert, in fact, even the Prime Minister of Iraq, has said it cannot be a political military solution.
The dilemma the Democrats have, and you articulate it better than most, is that there are 15 different speeches out there all being given by every different candidate, and there's not one singular plan. The president at least has a plan that I don't necessarily think is a good one, but at least it's a plan. Your problem is you get Biden saying something, Dodd saying something, and everybody else saying something else. And the critical thing is the conduct.
Biden's saying that there's a red line, taking the president to task on threatening both Syria and Iran.
Right.
My God. I mean, let's step back from here just for a moment. If Iran is supplying those who are attacking our soldiers and it's in our national interest to be there and we've made a commitment, why in the world should Iran and Syria or anyone else who would do so not tremble at the prospect of a U.S. response?
In fact, they're not trembling. And
of course
as a matter
they're
of
not.
fact, Iran has become empowered by Bush's strategy in Iraq. The only way we're going to address Iran effectively is by escalating our diplomatic initiatives in that region and showing them while it's in their best interest.
Give them a big hug?
No,
a big hug?
No, wait, let me make my point. It's about...
Well, we got 30 seconds.
I think Robert should take yes for an answer. The Democrats have essentially won the argument on Iraq for now. George Bush is powerless to do anything right now, and I think this plan will not happen because there's absolutely no support for it.
The only thing these guys understand is power. And if the moment the Iraqis come across, or the Iranians come across, we got to go back and chase them and hurt them. That's the only thing they're going to understand. And they're going to lose our total respect.
Gentlemen, I hate to cut it off here, but time demands and dictates. Thank you very much, Robert Zimmerman, Michael Goodwin, Ed Rollins. Thank you.
Thank you.
Still ahead, more of your thoughts, the results of our poll tonight. Stay with us.
This lush expanse of green does more than beautify our world. Trees help clean the air of carbon dioxide, a major greenhouse gas. As North America's largest recycler, last year alone, Waste Management recycled enough paper to save over 41 million trees. From everyday collection to environmental protection, think green. Think Waste Management.
This is the AARP Medicare Supplement Insurance Plan card. You know what's great about this card? Wherever you go, nationwide, your coverage travels with you. And that's just one of the many reasons you need the card you can trust. Because with AARP Medicare Supplement Insurance Plans, you can apply year-round, talk with personal health insurance advisors, and so much more. If you're turning 65 or older, or you've already enrolled in a Medicare supplement plan, call for this free information kit and Medicare guide. These are the only Medicare supplement insurance plans exclusively endorsed by AARP. These plans, insured by United Healthcare Insurance Company, help cover some of your medical expenses not covered by Medicare alone. This could save you thousands of dollars. Want your choice of doctors or hospitals, virtually no claim forms, and no referrals needed to see a specialist? Call for your free kit. Yep, this is one great card.
When I signed up for Vonage, I was able to keep my phone number, and then when I moved, I was able to take it with me.
Call quality is the utmost. It projects my business. And with Vonage, it's perfect.
Vonage and reliability, that just kind of goes hand in hand.
It's just $24.99 a month for unlimited local and long-distance calling. Vonage is a better way to phone for less.
Get 1 month free. Call 1-800-970-7034.
Closed captioning hours on CNN, sponsored in part by Oric Vacuums. Nothing gets by an Oric.
Want to make your pet hair magically disappear? Try my powerful 8-pound Oric XL free for 30 days.
The results of our poll tonight, 2/3 of you aren't surprised that just days after passing the ethics reform bill, the Democratic leader exempted a company in her home state from complying with the minimum wage bill, but the House Speaker does vow to reverse that exemption. Time now for more of your thoughts. Tom in Kentucky. Speaker Pelosi banned house smokers from lighting up in the lobby. Why is it then not as easy to ban lobbying in the lobby? And Sandy in Oklahoma. Lou, why is it necessary to phase in the minimum wage over a 2-year period? Didn't the president and Congress get theirs immediately? Good question. Thanks for being with us tonight. Please join us Saturday and Sunday. For all of us here, good night from New York. Have a great weekend. The Situation Room begins right now with Wolf Blitzer. Wolf?
Thanks very much, Lou. And to our viewers, you're in the Situation Room, where new pictures and information are arriving all the time. Standing by, CNN reporters across the United States and around the world to bring you tonight's top stories. Happening now, the Pentagon bosses